That's our cue, boys. That's our cue.
That is not the right title. Oh my god. Hang on. So I'm relying on. Hang on. Oh, I don't want to hear myself. Hang on. Category chess. Yeah.
Can you even figure out who's playing against who?
It'll figure it out. It'll automatically determine.
Matthew made an AI or something. I don't fucking know.
What?
I don't know how he knows, but he knows apparently.
Yeah, no, I believe in Matthew. I was asking about you. I was like, Matthew has to help.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm so fucking rude today.
Yeah, you are.
Why'd you say you have a virus?
Say everyone is here. Okay, which chess is it? Chess 2015, chess with
Chess.com.
1 viewer, chess 1992, chess
What do you mean?
144. I don't know.
The category was. I don't know what you're saying.
I'll just do chess. No, I'll just do special events, right? Yeah, special events. I'm gonna put the title. Everyone is special. It's my face. Oh shit, the guy with the funny mustache is here. I gotta go to chess. Okay, is it actually gonna like find everyone?
Okay, I'm back. What's happening? Did I miss something?
I don't know. Matthew said he's gonna sort everything out. Matthew, hello.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
mic sucks, fix it.
The issue is chess.com doesn't let you make round robin tournaments.
I'm gonna just start drinking for real.
So I'm just gonna use like an actual like tournament table generator, and then just gonna have to play 1v1s.
Yeah, that's fine.
I
mean,
but it means that people are gonna have to challenge each other basically, and then you're gonna have to add them as a friend and spectate their game.
We can just tell who's gonna win. Look at the highest elo, bro. Or like the third 3 digits, and then there's like only 3 guys that are like in the triple.
Your mic sucks.
Bomb versus
Can you fix
popping,
it?
baby.
Who is Mike?
What
What is she talking about?
Is it mine?
Yes.
What?
It doesn't.
Guys, does my mic suck?
Okay, so no, yours is fine. Okay, are we gonna go with 8 people?
Wait, shit, we're supposed to have 10.
Well, no, 8 works better actually than 10.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Dude, Critical is playing chess right now. Guys, let's all fucking kill him. I don't know how we do that, but we should do that.
Yeah, let's scatter our opponents, guys.
Chat rules. You suck. I have to follow him? Go fuck yourself. I'm not doing
just
that.
left?
Is my mic really? Hold on, I gotta check my mic.
It's not. Don't worry.
I want
Your mic is fine. I think
mic.
Pumpkin genuinely just wanted to complain about like I don't even know what he deafened. Oh no.
Yeah, it's fine. I just
it was fine.
It is.
Like actually,
Yeah,
like
it's fine.
why was she saying that?
It's usually better. I don't know. Just I'm used to your mic. It's usually not this shit.
I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's fine. It seems fine.
It's whatever.
Maybe let me check the.
Don't worry about it.
Noise suppression. Check noise suppression.
Yeah,
Don't worry about
it.
it.
Says
It's fine.
crisp and the echo cancellation is on. So I don't know.
It's fine, don't worry about it. I thought it was
You guys
something you
pissed
could
today?
fix. If you can't, it doesn't matter.
I see.
Okay. Bracket is done. Okay.
Okay, who goes first?
So the first game is going to be Squiddo against Milagros GM, which I assume is
Oh,
Dango.
fuck.
GG,
Oh
GG,
god.
GG, GG.
they-
It was good while it lasted.
What?
Can someone stream on Discord?
Sure, I will.
Big fishes
What the
talking
fucking
baby.
Twitch
So I
stream,
think
man?
well, this game it's fine because obviously she's playing,
Do
so
we
the stream will be
have to
fine.
Oh,
But for
what's
all the
time?
future games where she's not playing, either she's gonna have to spectate or someone's gonna have to spectate and like stream to Discord.
Your Discord tag is GM. This is not fair.
Yo, God. Yeah, you got this, bro. I believe in you.
Yo,
I don't
is
think-
Why am I
it
not
active?
included in the list? Do you hate me?
Huh?
Oh wait, because you're not in the tournament. You're not in the tournament on chess.com, so I didn't add you to the.
How do we
You
tournament on
didn't invite
chess.com?
me. It's fine, don't wanna play anyway.
I'll
so
go
it's
get her.
fine.
Y'all stream sniping in chess, Lamal. No, we don't even know how to set up a thing.
Okay, so
Yes. What?
Okay.
Who the fuck said that? This is
You're-
the
Yeah, we
first
you're-
got
message
LA
in my
Big
chat.
snipers.
you are in the tournament, right?
I don't know. What?
Me?
Whatever
What?
calling
What?
them. Huh?
Yes.
Well, it says
Squid-
you're in
Squid-
it.
Yeah, Squid is in
The
the tournament. It says right there on me for me too.
Am I?
Yeah, you are in the tournament.
Where?
I
How
don't
do
know.
I
I mean,
sign
I can
up?
see your elo. It's
Are you a-
126.
How do
Yeah.
I sign up though?
You have an account. You already
actually-
joined.
Oh, thank you for
With
following
your account.
Killer Bunny underscore
Stop saying my name
I
out loud,
cannot say
please.
that number because it will make me I will die
Please
to
stop
I
saying
will
it.
die to a demon.
Oh
I mean
my God.
I mean a D word. Oh my god.
Oh no, the D word.
Completely
Oh my
delusional.
god. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Maybe there's a way to just make like an empty game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I hope so.
I don't think.
Otherwise,
fucking
otherwise people are going to
disaster.
need to challenge each other.
I think it's fine if I have
Custom
to.
challenge.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Look, I think honestly me and Pumpkin should just do each other first. No, not do each
I'm
other.
not playing.
No, me and Pumpkin. You are! You're on the list! You are! Why are you here if you're not playing, you
No,
fucking bitch?
join,
Oh
join.
my
Oh my
god.
god, guys, get a private room. Do each other right now.
Okay,
He didn't
one of you needs
include me.
either you need to challenge Dango or Dango needs to challenge you
Oh, okay,
for the first game.
okay, I'll do it. Okay. I play wait, is it gonna be 3
Okay,
is it gonna be
look.
3 minute or 5 minute?
open the link. No, open the link from Discord.
Yes.
What link?
Open the link that's in Discord.
Pumpkin seeing what link? You're not talking to her.
The one in the chess tournament chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, open it.
Chess.com/play tournament. Yeah?
Yeah, okay. Open
Oh
the
my
link.
god, I'm here! Yeah! Look, I'm in it!
Yeah.
Everybody do the
Okay.
thing that he just said to do!
So yeah, everybody already did that.
Yeah, we're
No, they
all...
didn't, because
That's why
Pumpkin
you can
didn't.
see 8 people. Okay.
Pumpkin, you retard!
Yeah.
Open the fucking link!
Oh my god.
Actually, I can add Pumpkin into the.
She's dumb!
2 minutes later, she's gonna wonder why did I get demonetized.
Wait. If you add, if I add Pumpkin to the bracket, it actually puts you two first.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's so
It's
funny!
destiny.
I
it's
knew it!
destiny.
I knew
It
it!
was-
And the winner has to play Dango.
Oh, that's why-
I might
Okay.
just lose on purpose.
I think I'm betting $50 Pumpkin is gonna win.
Oh, okay,
You're
yeah. We need to
betting?
do predictions. It need to be predictions.
Why?
Channel point predictions for
I-
every game.
Okay. Actually, I allegedly bet $50.
I don't understand how to join. I'm on my phone. And I opened the link and nothing happened. So like you have to
For the
pay.
record, Pumpkin, that means if you win, I'm giving you 50, and if Squid wins, I'm giving her 50.
Okay, I'll win. Martha, I'm way more broke than you. You have to give up.
Estonia?
Ah, nice, you joined.
Who?
I said
Okay.
Estonia because that's the
My
account.
fucking lord.
So you guys need to challenge each other somehow. We've
Yeah,
got the
I
two
know
least
her.
competent people trying to figure out. You know her, do you?
Yeah, I
Click
know how
on-
to
No way.
challenge her. Oh shit, she
Okay,
did
do it then.
Click on her name.
You fucking bitch. I wanted to challenge
Wait,
you.
send
Okay.
us the link so that we can watch.
Fucking Estonian.
You were watching. It's on
Gamba
stream.
has
It's on
started.
stream. It's on stream. It's on stream.
Yeah,
Everybody,
yeah,
shut the
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
up, okay?
I'm confused.
You're gonna be way more
put the
confused
pieces
once they
in the
start
bag,
playing.
bro.
Okay, they started a 3-day game. Okay, guys, 72-hour stream. Let's fucking go.
Nice. Fuck.
Sabaton, let's go.
How did I do that?
And there's Gamba now.
I mean, I want the link so that I can watch it through my.
You watch it on the stream.
It's on
I wanna
stream,
watch
you
it on
dumb
the
fuck.
stream. I wanna
How
watch
do
it.
we
fuck, we
challenge
have-
it?
Otherwise, you have. You're in a game already, Pumpkin.
No, I'm not.
She's playing
You
against the
are.
person.
No,
Okay,
she's
3
not.
days- 3 days long though.
Yeah, just play quick. It doesn't matter. The timer doesn't matter for you guys. You guys don't need the timer.
Okay.
Dude, they're gonna
okay.
spend the actual 3 days.
I'm going
Yeah,
to
Pumpkin
piss
is
myself.
going to
Please
go to
play.
a library and buy a chess book, and then come back and then make her move.
Dude,
And then in between each move, she's going to call her granddad and ask him about chess tactics.
Dude, there's gonna be negotiations. They're gonna have real life negotiations.
Okay, she moved. Go.
What the fuck? I got teleported back.
Pumpkin is gonna be like,
Okay.
I was given 3 days, I'm gonna use 3 days.
So-
Days to make the move.
Squiddo sacrifices her pawn on e5.
What happened there? Oh my god.
Yeah,
You need a
get
proper commentator.
move.
Oh my god, did the game just restart?
I'm getting teleported.
It kicks
Okay,
me
so
out of
Pumpkin
the
captures the
game.
free pawn on e5.
I'm gonna be Genos. That's my teleportation. I mean, that's my commentation.
No,
But
I'm gonna join on the fucking computer, I guess. Like you have to wait. I'm sorry.
Was she on her
3 days
phone?
long, that's fine. You have to wait 3 days. Business time.
I don't
Sorry.
fucking spoil
I,
everything.
if I play on the app on my phone, it kicks me out every time I make a
Um,
fucking move. And it's
Squiddo develops her
pissed me off.
queen.
no, I didn't.
Attacking the
He's
pawn.
gonna teleport back. Watch.
You have to fucking check. You have to like
What
on
was
the
that?
right side. You have to decide your move.
Oh. What?
Okay.
What's that?
Oh yeah,
No.
on daily on correspondence chess you have to confirm
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What's happening? I got
Okay,
teleported
you should-
away.
You should just do a new challenge with 5 minutes
Hi.
instead.
Yeah, agree to
Hello.
announcement.
Okay. What?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Wait, can you share screen?
Who set up
Yeah.
the fucking 3-day thing?
I'm playing time travel chess.
Okay, I'm going in there. I'm gonna help.
Go, you can just click play a friend and then choose her, maybe.
Where is
Yeah,
she?
right click the name and challenge.
Look,
it.
I'm getting DDoS. Look,
You're
I'm
not getting
DDoS.
DDoS.
I am.
First,
Who is DDoSing you?
People watching probably.
What? That makes no
Actually,
we can
sense.
see you without delay.
Why did it kick me again?
Then
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's meant to be like a daily thing.
Squiddo
not like
versus chess.com interface.
challenge.
It pisses me off that it
And
kicks me out.
the
So
rest
we
of
need.
Yeah,
the-
it keeps doing that to me
Yeah,
as
if
well.
she's gonna
Then
challenge
like
you.
this.
Yeah, I can't focus
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be rated.
What?
Okay. Send challenge.
Okay.
Pumpkin, she's gonna send
Now,
you a
Pumpkin
challenge.
needs to accept the challenge. Is she able to figure
Um,
out how to do that?
Pumpkino,
No.
accept the
Yeah.
You're gonna
But
get a
that doesn't
notification
work.
about
Okay,
Okay,
challenge.
whatever.
Okay, never mind. It works.
What a fucking
Let's go.
disaster.
Jesus.
5G shit.
A fun disaster.
Okay.
Okay, she makes the same pawn sacrifice as last time
That's her opening, that's her theory.
in order to develop the bishop. Okay,
Not the queen this time.
what's she gonna do? Okay, she's also developing the queen. Maybe she's gonna try a coordinate attack. Okay, Pumpkin is attacking the queen.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
You're not
shut
supposed
up.
to
You're
tell
just,
her
you're just
this
fucking
shit. Like, you're
distracting
just
me.
hoping for.
Well, you guys should deafen so you can lock in.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
No.
that. Holy shit,
That
shut
way
the
the-
fuck
My boy
up.
here learning
That way the
Italian.
commentary
Oh
is...
my god, fucking losers. Holy shit. Fucking ruining my life. What the hell? Okay, I am gonna put my horse here. Ow! Oh! Fucking whore. Let's see. Oh my god! Like, you know what she told me? You know what she told me? Right? Don't feel bad if she beats me. Well, that's what I'm saying to myself. She told me that she is gonna read chess books before this tournament. Because she's such a loser that she has to read chess books. Okay? That's what she told me. She's been reading chess books, she's been watching videos. Oh my god. Can't do anything. Gotta have a smooth brain. Who the fuck are you? Okay, let's see. I got here. I did not rage quit. You stole my shit. Wait, Ah! Oh my god. Fuck! Then put him here. You just know she's asking ChatGPT right now because she's so stupid. Ah! I'm gonna fucking lose. I don't want to lose. No. Words. What? I hate this game. This game it just sucks. I don't care. Fuck this game. What a loser fucking game for losers. What the hell? Oh my god. I'm gonna resign. Fuck. Yeah.
Develop the king.
You're a
finally.
fucking cheater, and I know you asked ChatGPT, by the way.
Oh my god.
I know. I could see you doing it.
You asked ChatGPT. Nice.
In my brain, I saw you do it. I did.
Open.
I think for the future games, the two people that are playing should be server deafened while the rest of the voice chat can commentate. Talk shit.
You fucking serious? Really? Oh my god, I knew it. I
Wow.
fucking knew it. They've been helping you, and you've been listening to their fucking.
No, nobody's been helping him.
I
No,
don't
you're
believe
just
that.
ass. You're
I don't
just
believe that
ass.
for a second.
Bro,
In
you
fact, we've been,
lost
we've been
in
trying to
a
help
second.
you,
Yes.
although you haven't been over to hear us.
How? How would you help me?
Well, just by pointing out some of the things that
But I was
Pumpkin's
deafened, so
done
how would
wrong.
I?
Exactly. Yeah, couldn't. Okay, only one place for it to go. This is I think Pumpkin is trolling everybody right now by delaying the checkmate as long as possible. I think this probably warrants an account for stalling. Probably warrants a report for stalling, I think.
But I'm bad at like doing fucking checkmate.
Sexual harassment, Jesus. Holy.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
What did she do to you? Goddamn. Is this considered sexual harassment? Holy.
Okay, she still surprisingly manages to find another check that has an escape square. That is quite impressive.
Guys, cause
Actually, maybe-
Katson's being mean to me. Please help.
She's been mean to me.
I think it's actually quite impressive that she hasn't checkmated
But
you
we're
yet.
getting closer.
I think it's actually quite skilled. Okay. Does okay.
Left you speechless.
Gonna make her run out of time.
No. No. I have 7 minutes.
Honestly, it might take more than 7 minutes for Pumpkin to checkmate you at this rate. This
Rick,
is
can you
not.
give us a definition of the word checkmate, so the competitors know.
That's a good thing. Like, I would want to know that as well, because I don't get
No,
it.
but you're the one being asked. You need to explain it for the stream. You got to be like, okay, so anyone in chat, maybe you're not familiar with chess. Checkmate is this. And you need to explain.
Yeah, Pumpkin, do that.
No, you're the streamer
I don't know what checkmate
Oh
is.
or hosts a chess tournament. Doesn't know
What?
what checkmate is.
I'm the worst player here. I'm 100 elo. Why would I know what it is?
I'm too stupid for this.
You're the host.
I'm doing it on purpose, I swear.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Rich, maybe if you gave the definition of checkmate, maybe she'll.
Oh
actually
my
checkmate.
god!
It is really hard to checkmate people though. Like I've tried to do it before and I couldn't.
Not when you have
wonder
like
why.
every piece in the entire game at your disposal.
Like,
Oh, she didn't even mean to do that. She didn't even realize that was a checkmate. Like, that
she
was an
did,
accidental
she did.
checkmate.
She meant to do it. Okay.
Okay, so Pumpkin advances.
Okay, so I'm out.
Wonderful.
Wait, no, we get 2 out and then you lose, right? So
No, there's a losers bracket, but the losers bracket will be later.
okay. Now what?
Right. So now it will be Pumpkin versus Dango.
Oh,
Wonderful. This should be a quick one.
Okay, how do I
it says a
spectate?
tournament starting in 20 minutes.
I'll stream if you want.
Oh, yeah, that'll just be whatever. I don't know.
I'll just
Okay, yeah.
stream.
We'll have another.
Yeah, if
I
Pumpkin can
don't.
stream, that works.
How do I add them? And how do I like send them?
Okay, so you know the
Fucking no.
thing where the tournament is, where you can see everybody that's in the tournament? From
No.
there, you can
that.
just click their profile. If you click the link that's in the Discord,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
no, not you, the pumpkin.
Hello.
Pumpkin. Yeah.
This
So
one.
here, yeah, exactly, and then click the top person, Milagros GM. Click, and then
Good
do
luck,
challenge,
1800
and then-
kilo.
and then set it to where it says 5 minutes. Where it says 5
Oh.
minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well you just undo the challenge, so you can just go back.
Hello.
Wait, how do I watch the?
Watch on Discord.
But like I'm streaming. So
5
what do I
minutes.
do?
Or you can click Pumpkin's account and you should be able to spectate her if you're friends, I think.
Yeah, 5 minutes. We don't need more.
Come on.
The rest of the games, I think the games should be
Pumpkin,
like
can
10
you add me
minutes.
as a friend, please?
Especially for people, 5 minutes is too fast for people who aren't very used to the game.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Don't accept it.
So change it from 5
promise.
minutes to 10. You could have just
I'm too stupid to even send a fucking challenge.
where it says 5 minutes, yeah, 10 minutes, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And then you go to deafen.
No.
Yes.
But I have to deafen. No,
Yes, you have to deafen
help
or you
me.
have to be moved
Well,
from the voice chat.
Someone just server deafen her.
But we're so much better when everyone in the voice
Okay.
chat.
Squiddo,
don't
server
have to-
deafen her. Server deafen
No.
Pumpkin. Server deafen Pumpkin. You don't need to server deafen
Okay,
Dango because he's better than all of us anyway.
She.
I mean, yeah.
I'll deafen. I'll deafen. Don't leave.
Okay, nice. Okay. Okay. The opening is called Beginner's Mistake. There is
No,
no
I swear.
fucking way.
Hey, what is this opening called, by the way? The one
It's
where you
called
open-
Beginner's Mistake. That's crazy.
when you
She
opened
looked
it-
up. She got a chess book and learned the Beginner's Mistake opening.
Technically,
Crazy.
Dango blundered because she could have captured the.
Sure. I'm on stream and I can't watch. What do I do?
I'm watching on
send you-
Discord.
I'll send you the link, okay? Squid,
Okay, yeah.
I'll send you the link. Click on this and maybe it'll open up.
Oh, yeah. I've got it. I'm watching live.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Okay.
Shut
All
up.
is
Go held back, no punches. Did not want to play friendly at all, and just checkmated her in like
I missed
in 9 moves.
I missed
Okay.
the tournament because I wasn't open. It said 404 page not found. What do I do?
Okay, well because the game already ended. She already lost. Pumpkin lost. Okay, the next game is
Why
Please don't
the
say my
Bot
name.
Boy.
Please don't say my name. Please don't say my name.
it's Bot Boy 86,
Who the fuck is
Bot Boy 68 versus
Who-
Meta
Who
0911.
the fuck are
Someone
that?
stream.
Thank God. I thought it was gonna be my name or something.
Stream. Someone stream. I don't know how to
Story
speak.
time, Yappa?
I'll-
No, I'm too drunk.
Yo,
I'm
I
sorry.
cannot stream it off my phone, please.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll spectate.
Oh, spectate and stream.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Thank you.
If it you only $50.
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Did I say
you
that?
did.
I don't think so.
You did
No,
say
I
that
don't-
though.
I
think
You
you said
did.
hypothetical.
I don't.
Bro
think
has
so,
been
though.
practicing. Bro has been practicing.
Has he?
He
Oh my God! It
has.
says yeah. It says May
Yeah.
8th, last game.
Guys, pause. Pause it now. I
What?
can't
Pause
watch.
what?
I don't know how to watch. What do I do?
No,
I
I'm
need
just
to
looking.
get it up.
I'm just looking at his profile,
No,
and
I
he's been playing a bunch of games.
I need to get it up on stream, but I don't know how.
Yeah, okay, they need to challenge each other.
The game
So-
hasn't
so-
started.
So what do I do? Like, how do I open it on
No.
stream? Okay,
Just
everything
click on
broke.
Discord.
I'll send
Everything
you a
broke.
link
Everything
once
Everything broke.
they start.
Everything broke. Everything broke. Oh my god.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
oh, my computer.
Can you please
I'm
shut
gonna
up and
punch-
listen for like 3 seconds?
Oh.
Okay. Oh, watch. I think the game started.
Well, no one can
Let's see. Okay. Yep. It's working. I'm going to send you the link in DM.
Maybe I just don't
Click-
stream it because like
No,
it's
By the way,
no,
you
click this link. Click this link.
You can
Where?
go onto the profile and just watch.
He
clip
sent
one.
it to you in.
I sent it to you on Discord. Okay, got E4. Did the
Why is
link
the
work?
timer not moving? By the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I think someone black needs to move, then it starts. Maybe I don't know.
That's not how it works.
I mean, maybe on like rapid.
I mean,
it
I'm a
works that
dumbass
way.
in chess,
I
but
don't
I
know.
don't think that's how it works.
What is wrong with her?
That's what I've been asking myself every day.
Click the link I DM'd you.
I did it. Okay.
Yeah. See, it timer started.
Wait, who's playing against who?
It is Vertigo versus. I don't know who Meta 0911 is.
Well, we're not deafened, so we're cheating.
Zach.
Vertigo's
Mhm.
deafened. No, it's not Zach. Zach is Zach Foster in the tournament.
Yeah, he's not playing. He's
It might be
just
I'm
Zap.
Zap. I'm
Yeah.
Zap.
No.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
What is this profile?
Bro, it's lit. Wait, I should be deafened.
Yeah, you should
Why
be
would
That
you
deafened.
be
didn't happen.
deafened?
The fuck?
Because he's
Move
playing.
Move your horse in the middle.
Do not be deafened because so he doesn't get your terrible advice.
Yeah.
Ew, what the hell?
In the middle.
By the way, it's, I don't know. Okay, it is working now.
My advice isn't bad. What?
Of course, that's bad. You lost to me.
You're a fucking bitch. That's why I lost you because you were on fucking ChatGPT asking.
I was.
Come on, you need to commentate the game. You got to say what's happening, what you think
Oh,
might
yeah.
be, what's going to happen here.
Horse versus horse. This is an achievement. No. This.
What are you talking? What is bro yapping
Stop
about?
doing this.
Horse versus horse. This is an achievement.
Actual AI generated speech. The fuck?
No, I'm fine. Look. The two horses are facing each other. Who will
Oh wait,
win?
I forgot to close the prediction.
Which prediction?
Who has the fucking Martha stream in the background?
That's what I've been.
Yeah.
Are we? I was doing double.
Fucking bitch.
Yeah,
This
it's
is gonna dox you.
Ritz.
Yeah.
You can just mute the stream.
The stream. He's wasting a lot of seconds thinking on that move.
Yeah, did we all both die?
If only we had a
Okay.
commentator.
Horse versus horse. Who will win? When the both of the horses are looking at it. There's two horses now. On one side,
Okay.
two horses. Which horse will horse? Who knows?
Okay, interesting.
Two ones in between the horses. Who will horse?
Why did you?
So-
you
Squiddo, you see that both of the pawns are currently under attack by both of the knights.
What I would
right?
do is move my horse
But-
forward.
Okay, but
Which
then
one?
you would blunder a pawn.
What I would
Well,
do
she's
was
she's definitely talking about the one that's already moved because she wouldn't ever. There's no way she'd ever bring the other horse out.
what
That'd be
I would
way
do
too
is
logical
move
of
the
a move.
bishop in and then wait, why am I allowed to do that? What the fuck? I'm a ghost. What the hell?
Yeah, you can preview moves. You can.
I don't want to do that. What do I do?
Press
Get
right
it to
click.
stop! Okay. Wait, you sure?
Right click. Right click.
No.
Or-
Yeah, Martin just
escape.
like
What do I
missed it.
do?
Left arrow. Left
Ow.
arrow. Left arrow.
Where?
Press left arrow key. Press left arrow key
I
on
don't
your
have an
keyboard.
arrow.
Left arrow key on your keyboard.
Oh, okay. And then
Jesus
there we go.
Christ.
Fixed it.
And
High
now
level
go all the way to the.
analysis.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there you go. Yeah, black is
Look.
down already over a minute and a half, which is quite a lot in a 10-minute game,
It's okay because
especially after only four
you know
moves.
that when they've lost that much time, you know they're looking at ChatGPT.
No, probably not.
ChatGPT would be
Drawing on the
faster.
board, lol. Well, what if I just jump off a bridge? I don't know. That's kind of weird. Why you would say that?
Yeah, why are we
Are you eating right now?
I have a bag of chips. Yummy.
Okay.
Worst commentator ever.
I know what they're doing.
Okay.
Look.
I started the-
Okay.
Huh?
Meta takes. He sacrifices the knight for a pawn.
What happened? I didn't see it.
Hey, good
Well, you can
question.
use the arrow keys to browse
Oh,
through the
shit.
moves.
Good question.
Oh,
Does
wait,
it
it's not
really
updated
has
for you.
upfish?
You might want to
The hell?
reload. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. Pocket chips. Not pocket chips.
Okay. It's kicking out the knight with the pawn.
Oh my god.
So Meta's knight's a bit out of position on the side of the board. now.
Meta Knight!
Ooh,
Vertigo sees the
We
free
have a
pawn, captures with check. Okay, and Meta
Why are you
blocks with the knight that's
rotating?
completely hanging.
Look! He has every single guy in a diagonal
Okay.
line. He's
Vertigo
cheating.
is playing very
He's-
well right now.
He's cheating. He's cheating. He's using ChatGPT
He's
for
seeing
cheating.
all of the he's just seeing all the mistakes that Meta's making and
He is-
capitalizing on
shit,
them.
He is cheating.
Develops his other bishop. If we see in the next couple moves, we see maybe
I think he's gonna castle.
I think here I like
Ew, you're cheating him.
he doesn't know that. No, you think the guy playing on his phone has the Twitch stream open at the same time?
Probably.
He saw the free queen as well. Okay, this is for not such a big elo gap. This is
Oh, he has
completely
the king in check.
dis-
So he needs to move. Oh, okay, that's a play.
yeah.
The bishop is backed by the knight, though. By two knights.
Win! Don't
Okay,
win
so
against.
he's
Oh
just
my
trying to
God,
break
oh my-
open his
oh my
defenses,
God,
sacking a piece,
Oh my god.
sacking his piece for the pawn. Okay, Meta doesn't take back the knight for some reason.
They were very close to a mate.
You have two horses and they have
Ooh,
none.
that-
You better win.
That bishop,
Okay,
that black bishop.
very nice
is-
aggressive move there.
I think he needs to take that bishop using the knight.
Is he kind of
You guys are
Oh,
such
he is completely
nerds. I
dead.
feel like I should deafen. Yeah, they don't know how to play chess. That's the problem. Look, he has he has two horses, and they're both gonna attack them, right? And then if he moves his pawn, then he can get the castle to like come in and attack too, and then he can get the bishop and the horse and the castle to gang rape the king, and then he wins. Cause that's how you get checkmate. You just have to get the king into like an unfuckable position. Like he has to be completely. Ah! I just put my finger in my ear. No, my ear, my eye. Oh my god. Oh no. Why am I fucking flinging my arms around like I'm Italian or something, and I just fucking put my fucking finger into my fucking eyeball. Oh my god. Anyway, these guys are both trolling and both stalling on purpose. What I would do here is I would take the... Ooh! That's a good idea too. Ooh. Ooh. Oh shit. I should refresh. So... Why does it take so long? Like, oh my god. Oh, I'll be right back. back. So which retard am I watching now?
You're watching Kerr578 or Zach Foster.
Who? Where? What? When? How? Who?
I'll send you the link. Sending you the link.
Yeah,
It
send
just
me.
started. You're fine.
Don't leave the voice chat.
Yeah, and don't deafen.
Maybe don't steal my
Well, you need someone that knows the bare minimum about the game to actually talk about the game.
My ear.
Okay, good thing
He
none of that picked
stole
up.
it! He stole it and he put it somewhere! I can't find it!
Stop drinking.
Whatever. You didn't send me a link,
You
by
did
the way.
very well.
I did. I DM'd you.
You did very well, Vertigo. Yeah, and entertaining us.
Interesting move by Zach to just give up his queen on the second move. Or the third move.
I don't think he did that.
Yeah, I did.
How?
He just put it right in front of where the pawn was. He
Maybe I'm
blocked- he
watching a
blocked the-
different game.
Well, yeah, you need to click the link that I sent you in DMs, like the most recent one.
Well, it's not my fucking default browser, is it? So I'm gonna have to copy it. Oh, that works. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He didn't give away his queen. What do you want about?
Wait, who's gonna
Go
gonna
back
do
in the move history.
commentary? Who's gonna do the commentary if you're gonna be playing against
Oh!
you?
Oh,
Still?
oh,
No, probably
no.
Dango or Squiddo.
I mean, I don't see why you yourself can't do the commentary.
Oh
while
my
you're still
gosh.
playing against me.
Yeah,
There's
Everything
one
maybe.
to
happened so
talk.
fast. I don't know. I've never spoken to them before.
Okay.
Make them type in the chat. So we can't comment.
This is going to be a very quick and painless death for Zach here. Probably just about, yeah, bring the knight in. And just queen c7, and then king e8, and then rook e7. Okay, what's he doing here?
You're such a fucking nerd. Like, why do you know every
Okay,
Gamer
on Pissant.
code.
On Pissant. We got an on Pissant in the tournament. Legendary move. Added the only move ever added to chess.
Who? Oh shit!
Yo,
Okay,
North
London won.
Macedonia.
Okay.
gotta represent. Sorry, I was tryharding a little bit.
Danko, can you comment
Um,
for me and
I don't know
Ritz's
if I
game?
should.
I think you two should just stay in the voice chat.
You should do it in Spanish so that you're comfortable.
So
What?
Pumpkin won.
Okay. Why is this the first time you chatted, you fucking bitch?
What were you saying about staying in voice chat?
Oh, report scores. Okay. Pumpkin
Don't
won.
report me.
Okay, and then it was Vertigo that won. And then
Care.
London. Okay, so now it is me versus
And then,
Eco.
just like even from now, just put yourself as the guy who won. just go. Just go and do it from now, bro. Just go.
Aren't you the
I've
guy
I have
said
lost to
that
people
with
that are
love?
much worse than me in the past, so I won't.
Yeah, much worse than you, as in
Give me
like
link.
what?
Give me link.
1200
Give me
worse?
link so I can put it on stream. Give me
No,
links.
like I've lost to someone that's like 900 before over the board.
Give me links so I
I'm
can
like-
put it on stream, please. Hello.
Why do you already have
I-
6 minutes only?
What? No, we gotta restart. Why is this 6
Holy.
minutes?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a
What is
challenge. I think it's
Can
because
you
the tournament
fucking send
started.
me a link? Holy shit!
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I have 3 days left to win against Pumpkin, apparently. That's what my game says.
I sent you a new challenge.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a
Oh wait,
different game.
no, we need to. We're currently playing, so we need to end this.
I'll
here.
resign.
What a
Actually, you
fucking
send you a
mess.
draw.
By the way,
Like,
how do you pronounce your name?
Whomst?
Ethel. But
Oh, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, dude.
I started being racist for no reason.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm sending you a challenge.
Did I get that?
Can I get a link?
Oh shit. No, not rated.
Can
I
I
don't wanna
send
fuck up
you
your
the
rating.
challenge?
Yeah, you can send me a challenge. Yeah.
Oh, I got your. I'm gonna accept your.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Nice. So that is
Shall I
working.
deafen?
Yeah, sure. Let me.
Just use
And
I just need to
then
open your
Dango,
profile and send Squiddo the watch link.
And then Dango, please you comment.
Okay,
No,
I'll send you the
Matthew
link.
can
Why-
comment. He's not gonna help
Yes,
himself.
you do. You do the commentary, little bro.
why does it say you're from the UAE?
I don't know. Why does it? I wonder why.
I sent you the link. Squiddo.
I wonder
Squiddo, I sent you the
why.
link.
I wonder why it says what country it says I'm from.
You're actually from the UAE?
Yes, dumbass.
Okay, you need to make your first move in the next 10 seconds.
You don't sound
okay.
like it. You definitely.
Okay. I think I have 2 tabs open because I can hear the sound. Oh, I have 3 of them open. I have 4 of them open. Okay, that's why I could hear the sound so many times. Actually, I'm going to deafen. Someone else needs to commentate.
Alright, Squid, take over.
Bishop is in front of the horse. This means
What
he's
does it mean?
shielding the horse. The horse can jump whenever he wants, but the bishop is in front, so he
And
cannot
when the
attack
horse
the
jumps-
horse.
And when the horse jumps, the bishop can see the pawn.
No, the bishop can do whatever it wants anyway, but it's just being a shield right now, so shut the fuck up. I'm the one commentating on you.
Sorry.
The fuck? On my screen, it's telling me that you can kill that pawn with your bishop. Do you want to do that? Guess not. The fuck? I got laughed at? Oh my god. Okay. Okay, the bishop can kill him if he wants to. What is going on here? Go! Go! Kill him! I don't know! I don't know what's happening! Like, what? Uh-oh. Shit, how do I get rid of the fucking...
The fuck are you doing? Aren't you supposed to commentate?
Okay, let me press refresh. Okay, I see the E folder is playing like a pussy right now.
He laughed at him in chat, if you can see that. Actually so disrespectful.
Yes, this is bullying. This is like fucking psychological tactic.
Oh my god.
He won his bishop and laughed at him in chat. He's actually insane.
That's the wrong fucking face. I didn't mean to press that. Why did you type a troll face? Oh, if you put TF, it does troll face. That's short for troll face. The more you know. So, as we can see, eFoder is currently looking up on ChatGPT which move he should make, which is why he's taking a long time to figure out what he's supposed to do. Otherwise, I don't know why he would take this long. Okay, the queen can go like... Oh shit. He can kill the horse of his queen if he wants. He should do that. I think I should. I
No,
think
if he
should do
kills
that.
the horse, he loses the queen.
That's
Yeah,
not a
that's a
move.
good point. Pardon me.
He won the queen.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I don't even know how he would win. You don't have a queen anymore. You should send a horse to jump on someone.
Why would Default not take the thingy?
I don't know what the thinking is, but like I agree.
But
Why would he
my
not do
face
that?
salty right now.
I see that the strategy is he is keeping his castles for the last. But then also like Matthew
Yeah,
has his
now he can
castles,
take the
so-
pawn, but
I don't know.
White can take it back.
Maybe he's letting him win because he has a crush on him. Who knows?
Yes, his case gonna leave you for fucking Default.
1,322 elo. How'd you get that? I'm 100 and the people I play against are like Leonardo da Vinci. They're like geniuses. I swear. It's
No offense
crazy.
to you, but
What? Are you sure
I'm
you
gonna
want to
say-
finish? Yeah, shut the fuck up. Oh! Oh my goodness! Oh my god! Drama! I don't know what's going on.
He's attacking the rook.
What the hell? It's like Black is psychic and he knows what's gonna happen. It's like he's psychic. That's not fair, right?
it's just better.
No, he's just
Yeah.
psychic. Like he
He will go
knows.
rook c2 and queen f2 mate.
I don't want.
That just happened.
No.
The fuck?
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Bro, the fuck?
I don't know what happened. I didn't close anything. I was just playing.
I don't know.
He's panicking. Look at him.
I'm playing against Zach for some reason.
Yeah, it's
Oh, that fucking tournament he started. That might be it.
The tournament.
Yeah, because
On your true Challenger.
He's panicking. He doesn't even know. I really don't,
Yeah,
we don't know
yeah.
what he's doing. he thinks the game.
here's the game. Yeah, he found
Oh
the
wait,
game.
what?
somehow.
No,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
back.
Yeah, try to
He's
find
back
it.
in the game. He's back in
I'm
the
not
game.
back in the game.
Oh,
Just
because
click
your time
somewhere
is
in game
is
history,
ticking.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Your time is ticking.
Don't worry, you have like 5 minutes.
No.
You
Your
have.
time
You
is
have.
ticking.
Who's
To
that?
I know it's sticking, motherfucker. I know it's sticking. What?
Don't panic. You have like 5 minutes, and you're one move away from losing.
It's 4 minutes already.
I can't find the game.
He should undeafen.
I
What
can't. I
Yeah,
can't
let's-
find
let's
the
get
game.
the guy who knows what he's doing to undeafen. I have a good strategy to this. Everybody message him at the same time, and then he'll scream, Everybody
He's
type.
not gonna do
Everybody
it.
type.
I found it.
Everybody
I found
type
it.
H and then press enter. Let's go. Go.
He
Go.
found the game. He found the
Go.
game. He found the game.
Go. Go. Go.
Now Queen F2 and he'll lose.
Oh, he said he can hear me.
He's next fucking room. Just...
Yeah, Queen F2 and it's mate. Oh, he wants to prolong the game. Damn.
You should make the castle go over there. Table. It's broken.
He's actually an asshole. He could have won. He's just fucking stealing all his pawns now. Jesus.
He's just like me. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Did you do that to me? Really?
No, I didn't. I didn't mean to. I was just stupid.
Yeah, I'm
If you
sure
actually-
you didn't
if
mean
you-
to.
You actually knew how to mate you'd have
She-
like
Oh, well,
200
she
million.
knows how to mate me. Trust me.
That sounded wrong. You Jesus. He won his rook.
Why is he stalling? Oh my god, just end it.
And now he's gonna ladder mate. Oh, now he's actually stalling.
He's just being a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, as fucking usual. God damn it.
No, let him on deafen. I want to curse him.
Yeah.
Hello, Don Deafen.
Yeah,
You wanna
curse him.
curse me?
Yeah, fucking curse him.
Yeah.
Write spells against him. He deserves it.
Dude, I lagged out. I don't know what happened. I couldn't play for like 2 minutes.
Okay, bro.
I swear.
You
can
were
ask
one move
anyone,
away
that's
from
what happened.
checkmate anyway.
I was?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
chose not to.
Fuck you. Don't play around with me.
But
How
You're
did
the
I do?
biggest
I did.
asshole.
I did so bad.
No, it was okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, I tried
think-
to do the London opening.
yeah, you got it right for like the first 2 moves, I think.
Fuck you.
Let me see. What was it? Let me go back to the beginning. Oh no, the first
Yeah,
3
I want my
moves.
beer.
And then I forgot what it was.
Yeah, really instead of C3, you usually play E3, I think, in the London.
What was the great move? Did he do that?
Yeah, but
Great
it doesn't-
move.
Oh, yeah, let me review the game. Oh yeah, this is gonna be so insightful.
Yeah, like it needs a review.
Oh, who
Let's
the
see what
fuck?
game rating it gave both of us.
Who fucking cares? Like,
1200.
you're
It thinks you're 1200.
Oh,
What
That's
the
actually
fuck?
pretty
No,
good.
I'm not.
Oh, that's
I'm
pretty
actually
good.
not.
You
I
actually
am
played
not.
well. 83% accuracy.
yeah, you did. I think. I mean,
Dude,
wouldn't
no,
know,
I
that's
do
me.
horrible. I
Yeah.
started with 800 elo and then I
How
get
the
to
fuck
like
did you get
100.
Literally, your
84
only
off
blunder, your only blunder was just giving up your bishop for free.
Yeah, that one.
I mean that and the queen. Yeah, right
Oh
here.
yeah, the queen was yeah. I mean,
That
this isn't
queen-
really a blunder though. That's
I
just
did it so bad.
She could've-
you wouldn't expect to. This
He
is
could've
you wouldn't
went
expect someone
back.
that's 200
I don't
elo
think
to
he
see
went
that.
back and shit.
That's my
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah.
I got
No, not
No, he
not
didn't.
this, not this, but not going back with the queen afterwards. I think that was the.
Oh yeah, here you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
play this. But
Oh,
what does it
that's
actually
what I
say
should
the
have
best
done?
move? Yeah, don't say that's the
only
best.
thing.
So the
That's the
thing
only-
here is me moving this knight. Right, I'm not just giving it up. It reveals the attack of the bishop
Oh,
onto
right,
the
yeah,
queen.
yeah, I didn't realize that. And then I should have.
Yeah,
just
exactly,
come
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
That's something that you got to learn to see. It's
Like,
Yeah, well, I'm
tricky to
not
see.
gonna
It's not-
learn.
And then
Yeah,
also
it's-
here you missed that your rook was hanging, but it's not
yeah,
too
it's
bad.
hard-
Like
it's actually hard
it says
to
this
see.
is fine because like if you don't play this, let's just say you do this. I think actually the right move isn't taking the rook, but it's this with check because then I get to and you know this. here.
Something
Like
like
this. You're gonna promote early.
I see.
Who's next?
Okay. So I think next we should do the last game of round 2. So that's Dango and Pumpkin, and then we can do losers round 1.
By the way,
Why me?
somebody said
I
if they were
already
there, they would
forgot.
beat you because you're dog shit. Just
To
saying.
have memory problems.
Matthew,
Well, tell them to join the tournament.
you can join right now, apparently, according to them.
Yeah, we already played.
I'll what?
I already played.
His ego is
You
so
already
huge.
played Dango?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Oh.
you think Dango would say that? No, it's the Mexican. I mean, it's Musli who's saying that in my chat.
I'm not talking to you.
We already played like
Okay.
right after. we
I
played
saw
with
your
Yeah,
face. I saw
Right,
I saw your reaction to me saying what.
Autism.
W autism. Someone is saying that in their chat.
Okay, so you already played like with the actual tournament. Okay. So then
Yeah.
okay, that's a win for Dango. Okay, so we can do Ephod versus Squiddo.
No?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Oh shit.
No, it's gonna go down, bro.
This is exciting.
And by down, I mean not even.
Is the
Anyway.
streamer still listening? Is the streamer still with us? No, I think she broke her mic by screaming so loud.
Even
What
better,
is she
she
even
hates it.
screaming about? I don't know.
Are you ignoring everyone?
What?
Can you stop ignoring everyone? You need to play Ephod. Like, what is wrong with you?
I'll challenge her.
It's hearing right now.
Well, play the fucking chess.
He stole all my bears and he thinks he can act like this. He stole all of them. He took all of them. I had like 10 and he took them all.
Pumpkin.
Bro already drank fucking 14 units of alcohol and still
I
wants to drink another
Then
30.
you stole the bonus.
Squiddo,
Oh my
Squiddo,
God.
I'm sending you what's it called? A challenge outside the tournament. Okay?
Yes.
Accept it.
But I don't have the thingy. Are you sure you're on the right account?
Just wait
Oh
for
wait,
it.
it says I'm playing a game. It says I'm playing a game against what's it called? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm just gonna end the tournament real quick.
Yeah, end it if you can.
Send challenge. 10 minutes. Unrated. Wait, it put me against Milo. Milo Gross. Danta?
Why is Milo
And-
gross? What did he do to you?
Okay. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh, I withdrew from the tournament. Oops. Oh well.
Yeah, we should all
Challenge.
I'm gonna go and take a huge shit then. Be right back.
You gotta play the chess game.
Holy
Play it
Oh
on
my
your
God.
phone in the bathroom.
I can't. I'm on a different chess account on my phone.
What?
I have
Dude,
2
why?
chess accounts.
Bro has a
Don't tell
Smurf.
chess.
Bro is
Why?
100 elo in chess and still has a Smurf.
100 elo on 2 accounts.
100 elo on 2 accounts. Bro
Actually.
is
Murphy for
the
the month.
equivalent of farming bronze accounts on Overwatch 1.
No!
Grinding bronze accounts to sell them.
No! I didn't get a fucking request, by the way.
Should I send? Are you gonna play or are you gonna go to the bathroom?
I don't actually need to shit.
Okay,
Just
well,
play.
I'm gonna send you a challenge. Challenge link actually. I'm gonna send you the challenge link in Discord. Is that fine?
Okay. Yeah.
There, I sent it to you.
Okay.
Who should deafen, me or you? I think I'll deafen.
Okay.
You don't. I think you can.
He's going to be begging for help from all of us.
Why would I need help when I know how to win in chess?
No one help her, okay? No one help her.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't? Okay, I'll send the challenge manually. You should appear for on your side. Did it appear? Like in the corner?
Oh, hang on. I mean, my house. I don't think it did.
I've sent too many challenges to Squid. You gotta be joking.
Yeah, it's a wrong
Okay.
fucking account, dumbass.
No, you're just not checking the. Oh, you are actually on the wrong account. Yeah.
Could you send me a challenge link?
Matthew, someone asked you how many rounds before our next match.
Let me see.
Where to go?
Vertigo. GG.
Wait. Is it in the stream? Is it in the voice chat thing? Oh, Vertigo is.
Like
It'll be like. It'll be like. The game after this one.
Oh yeah.
If
Squid,
she can
you
figure out
send-
how to
can you
challenge
send-
Evode,
Can you
Okay,
send me?
I can do it. Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, thank
send
you.
him a challenge.
I should get it.
Yeah, just type Evoder in there.
E-folder. Dude, that cracked me up. Why does it say you from the UAE?
Wonder.
What?
I mean, Pumpkin's. I think from Estonia.
10 minutes.
So yeah.
10 minutes, not 3 minutes. You're going to run out of time.
I won't run out of time.
Sure you won't, buddy.
Yeah. Let's see how fast your chat GPT is compared to my brain
Ew.
powers.
Let's see how
go.
fast you can donate your pieces.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll definitely.
Let's go. Oh my god, my jaw hurts. Okay. Did you hear that?
Yeah, stop screaming like a mandrake.
Like a what? Oh, like a
Like
pigment.
a mandrake.
It's a pigment. Like a compliment.
We should like bet on
Matthew,
how many moves does it take for her to lose the queen.
Fuck
I
you.
bet like
Probably 13.
Yeah,
I think.
over under 5. What do you think?
Over. Easily over.
okay.
I mean, her
Shut the fuck up,
opening
maybe.
says under.
You're not
I don't know.
helpful.
Opening history dictates under 5, so we'll see.
If you're spectating them,
Yeah, I'm watching the stream.
well, stream just.
Oh, yeah, I'll watch it on browser.
You guys need to shut the fuck up.
Thank you.
You guys need to shut the fuck up. Holy shit. Oh my god. What a bunch of losers, right? Oh, just don't stop talking while I'm trying to focus. Yeah. Just sabotage me, why don't you? What a bunch of losers. Kill. Oh! No! He's using ChatGPT. Like, how do I still have less time? I don't get that. He's watching a stream. He's stream sniping me. For sure. No, I didn't do anything wrong. Why is this happening to me? Why? Oh, kill. If this happens, I'm rage quitting, by the way. Oh, yeah, he ran away. Yeah, I thought you might. Scared of a true Sigma. Oh my fucking god. I hate this stupid fucking game. No! No. No, I should have just resigned. I hate this game. Oh god. Kill. Oh. Kill him.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
imagine pretending that you don't use ChatGPT to cheat. You're a fucking
I didn't
piece of...
use ChatGPT,
You're a
bro.
loser! You're a
Actual
fucking
slow issue.
loser!
You are
I
so
didn't.
I played
You
my
lost
best.
your queen in 7 moves.
7 isn't
Dude,
even...
no.
Like, 7 is a lot of moves. That's like a
Not to
minute.
lose your queen.
That's a minute!
Okay. Oh,
Were you spectating that, Ritz?
Yeah. Everyone was.
I was watching it on stream, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
What
so
was she
next up.
saying? I'm so curious.
Oh, I had the stream muted.
We can't listen to it.
The next up is Dango and Vertigo.
Ooh! Oh, that's gonna be fun to watch. How do I watch though? I need a link.
Can you?
Yeah,
can
once
you
the game
pull it up
starts,
on
I'll
your
send you.
stream, by the way.
What?
Asking Ritz.
Yeah, once
Got
once they figure out the challenge, then I'll spectate them and send a link.
it. 7 moves. Yes, Dango. 7 moves.
Maybe you didn't hear Evo, but we were betting on whether it'll be more or less than 5 moves before she hangs her queen.
It
I
was more
didn't
than
hang
5
anyone. What are you talking about?
moves. Debatable. I think your queen was hanged.
I'm not suicidal.
No, she sacrificed the queen.
yeah. Called the sacrifice.
Yeah, it was a
Wait,
gambit.
don't go.
Queen.
Don't go.
Gold
The
as
most
gambit.
points. Yeah,
Like,
the best
Uh,
person.
okay. Stupid game. Can I get a link so I can like show it on stream the game?
Yep, once it starts.
Okay.
Okay, what about a bet here? Wait, I'm gonna make a prediction for this one.
Okay.
free channel points. Let's go.
Under over the game lasts under over 30 moves.
Under.
Over.
Nah, she'll bet over and then she'll fucking. There's insider trading in this shit. It's not fair.
Wait. Yeah, dude, it's insider trading, literally.
Okay.
Wait, a 2 against 2? Oh, this game.
Oh shit! They added a fucking poll. But I can't fucking bet on it because I'm the. That's not fair. I can't bet because it's my stream. Fuck you. Wait, predict. Wait, no, I can't. Get started. Streamers can't cast a prediction on their own channel. I'm gonna kill myself. What?
Oh wait, I think they started.
Wait, shit! Send me a link.
Yeah.
Yeah, sending it. There we go. Still loading for me.
Oh yeah, there you go. I bet everything.
You bet everything? I couldn't bet
I bet-
anything. It
I
told
went
me
all
the
in.
streamer can't predict their own fucking
Oh, they've already been
shit.
playing, yeah.
What
Okay.
the fuck? Oh my god, okay. Oh my
Wait,
god.
this is a good game. We've got castles on both sides.
Stop spoiling it! Shit.
or even
Yes,
12 moves.
Squid Defin. I want
Guys.
to hear his commentary. If you don't want to hear spoilers.
Yeah.
No, if she deafens and you doesn't hear
Fuck
it.
yourself then. Jesus Christ, what a bunch of losers. Oh, okay, so we got the Bingus, Dingus, Dingus, Slingus, and then... Fuck! Oh my god! Ooh. Ooh. Oh! I can't tell who's winning because I'm bad, but I have a feeling that this horse is gonna go places, you know? This horse here is gonna do things. You know? This one. Oh! Horsey! Do something! Oh, he's got 2 bishops here. It can go brang, or... Oh, it's moved back. Okay, it can go... I don't know. I'm too stupid. I don't understand. Who messaged me? Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, I'm on the edge of my seat, guys. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how to cast this. It's like, oh, the horse moved forward. Oh, the fucking dildo went one place. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't get it. I don't know how to make checkmate on my own, so I wouldn't know. Like, how can I cast chess? I don't know how to play it. Oh my god. The spying bishop has now been attacked. Oh my goodness, it's not looking good. Make some tournament about something you know well next time. What, like Overwatch 1 goats? It's like... Huh? Rhythm games? It'd be boring, because like, the only people who were gonna participate in that shit would be way better than me, and then it just wouldn't be fun. It's like the only thing I'm good at. Oh my goodness gracious me. He's cornered! What can he do now? No! Wow. She got 16 best, 20 excellence. I've never seen 20 excellence before. That's crazy. My fucking old white guy told me that you're fucking 20 excellence. Holy shit.
Widow, can you do / prediction and close the prediction with the result being over?
Yeah, let me open Twitch.
I can't do it because I bet on it.
What is the next tournament should be?
Oh, fuck! Now it's the stressful game.
Brawlhalla, I think. Really
fuck no.
Oh, I'm fucking winning. I'm fucking you up.
Can
Yeah,
so now it's me in London.
Can we do like best
Who
Minecraft?
plays
builds?
Brawlhalla? Who plays
Question mark?
Brawlhalla?
I don't play Brawlhalla.
Send the challenge.
Oh, this one is gonna be interesting.
This is stressful, man. Holy.
Breathe. You got this, bro. I'm cheering you on. This is.
Thank you, man. I was cheering you on.
How do
No,
I
you
do the
weren't.
prediction thingy?
Plus, oh fuck.
But
Plus 5 seconds.
Who's
Oh,
yeah.
Who deafens? Should I cast it then, or should?
Yeah, I'm gonna deafen.
Yes,
I
it's
d-
very okay.
I'm not getting the.
been doing a great job casting so far,
Yes. All
right?
of you have been doing such a great job. Yes.
How do I
Look at the game. Ritz, send everyone actually. Just put it in the chat, please.
Wait, what's your name? Let me send the invite. I'm fucking shadow banned.
Why are you shadow banned?
No, unironically, because my name was fucking
Wait, did you get
Asslicker.
the challenge?
I'll send you one. No,
Okay.
unironically, I'm shadow
What's your
banned.
name? Why would you pick that name, you fuck?
It was funny. It allowed me to make that name, so I decided to make it. It was funny.
Wait, what's his name?
Ass liquor, apparently.
Jesus Christ, are you 15?
Yeah, actually, yes, I was 15 when I made the account. Unironically.
Aslika.
It's like two.
Oh, okay.
It's
There we
like
go.
2 steps better than poop lol 360 or something.
I'm sending you the link to watch.
Where?
Aslika. Oh, you made me remember my time in the
In
military.
DMs.
There was this one guy who would
There,
always
I
whisper
sent it.
in my ear.
Okay, I'm deafening, but
He didn't
Why
wanna
are they
fucking
both
hear that
deafening?
shit.
Okay, well I'm gonna.
They didn't
cast
want to
it.
hear that shit.
I'm gonna cast it, Squid. Listen.
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
a streamer. I'm
both-
casting it. I'm deafening now. I look at watch my stream. Listen, I know how to chess. Watch. Other guy, the pawn. I need the horses. The horses will fight each other. The horses will fight. When the horses fight, that's when you know. That's no good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The horses. The horses. Oh my god, the horses are moving. The horses are moving. Make a taunt about something you know well. Like alcohol or something. Holy shit. What is this atom for narration? Like, what if I just throw myself off a bridge? I don't have to do this, you know? Who are we rooting for here? Like, I can't even tell who's the underdog. Look, I think the queen has moved forward. This is quite cocky. So, Black obviously thinks that they're the best in the whole world. You know? So, I'm hoping that Black loses because of this cocky move of moving their queen forward when they don't need to do it. Well, somebody think about the horses. Yeah, for real. A 5-year-old can Loki. Are you fucking serious? Yeah, well, I started playing chess like 2 months ago, so fuck you. You could put like a bar that shows who's winning. How would I do that? I don't know who's winning. Look, it says that Ritz has taken 2 pawns and 1 horsey. And he's taken 1 pawn and 1 horsey. So it would appear that Ritz is winning right now. But we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Folks, this game could go anywhere. We don't know. You can go boop. But if he moves the horse... Oh shit, oops. I'm gonna have to boost. if he moves the horse, then he can kill the bishop. And then it's like a trade, because then like they can go blah, blah, but then he might not. You never know. Too many things to think about. See how hard they're thinking? Look how hard they're thinking. They're thinking. Why is this a 10-minute game? That's what I want to know. Think later is what I think you should do. I think you should just not think. Just do it, you know? And that's how I win chess. Why are we stalling? Okay, I need to pee. I'm gonna have to be right back. Okay, you guys cast. I need to fucking piss.
Oh, not now. You think he's gonna do it later?
Huh?
He seems to be considering.
What do you mean?
You can see on we're spectating Matthew's screen. Well, you asked me, and now you're like bowing. Oh, what was that move? Oh, well, he's still up a piece. I don't know. What is that moving for the king? I don't. Oh yes, the. I think. Actually, you might be right, Pumpkin. I think White is gonna win. Black is very on the defensive right now.
I just want White to win.
I think White is going to win. Black is. Yes, I'm also learning. Yeah, I think White is gonna win this, even though Black is up 1 pawn. Queen G4? Oh yes. Yeah. I see what you mean. Oh, that's difficult. If Queen G4. Yeah, that's wild. I think if Black, correct me if I'm wrong, Dango, but I think if Black wants to have a choice, he needs to trade queens, right? Because White's queen is too strong right now, in my opinion. I mean, I'm like a 100 elo. Oh yes, the trade is happening. They should trade queens right now. I don't see why they shouldn't.
What is happening?
Why isn't Ritz doing anything? Is he thinking?
He's
mouse
a
is not moving.
loser, that's why.
His mouse is not moving.
He was AFK. Sorry.
He's AFK?
Yeah. He started doing a really gay dance in front of me, and I didn't react to it. So, like, I was like, what the fuck? And then he just started twerking for no reason.
No
like,
way.
He started following me around the house twerking, and I was like, what the fuck?
Now you're just lying.
I'm not. He genuinely did that. Like, genuinely, he really did that.
I see some... Okay, that's not gonna happen, though. He's not twerking, though.
He was.
I refuse to believe this dignified person is twerking.
Dignified?
What is White doing? What is White doing? I mean, I know they're equal pieces right now, but what is that move to the bishop right there in the center? If he takes Black's bishop, then he dies. If he takes that pawn, he dies. Oh wait, if he attacks, okay. If he moves the bishop, then it opens up the attack for the rook. You see that, Pumpkin?
No, I don't know the names in English.
Okay, so the three pointed things, the castle, they're called
Yeah.
rooks. The ones that move diagonally are called bishops.
Okay.
And you know, the knight is the horse.
Kinger from Kinger is the king. Queenie is the queen.
Oh, wow, wonderful, Squid. Wonderful terminology.
Yes.
That's a good move from Black, but
So which one was Pomni?
which is which? What is both?
By the way, somebody said 2 months practice and you playing like that. Yikes.
Who said that? Let me check.
Somebody who joined today.
2 months practice and you play like that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened? I just tuned in for just tuned out for like 2 seconds. Yes, move it. I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah, move that pawn.
So many pawns alive.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know who's gonna win. They're very equal right now. They're literally equal in pieces.
Do you guys want to gamble like which pawn is gonna stay alive like till the end?
I mean, there might be multiple pawns that survive, so we don't know for sure. Like, how is that gonna work?
I don't know. Like, Pumpkin? Hello?
Okay, well, I think the pawn on
Did
this
you hear
file-
that? She just died. What the fuck? Did you hear that?
Who?
No.
What?
Why did you make that sound?
I was yawning. I'm sorry.
It sounds like you're stabbed in the fucking throat by a burglar. Scared me.
Can you say purple burglar alarm?
Purple burglar alarm.
Damn it. Doesn't work with your accent. The fuck are these arrows? Do you see this? On the
Where?
stream? On Ritz's stream, there were like a bunch of arrows that he was making.
Okay, he's probably planning. He's probably planning or something.
We're going for a draw. We're going for a draw.
She's not Scottish. The Hamburglar! Dude, I am the fucking Hamburglar. I am gonna make a raise. I am gonna make a rise tonight. I might film it and put it on TikTok story.
If they trade their rooks, this pretty much ends up in a draw. Unless one of them like makes a pretty bad blunder.
Are you sure? What if?
Yeah.
What if
He
I
can
don't know.
move the pawn on the H file. H6.
H file?
H6. Move the pawn H6. Oh no, but if he does that, then that's a free pawn for the rook.
H.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the move is here. I suppose he can move that pawn E5.
I
but
want a
then take-
hamburger now.
Oh, well, they're trading. So they're trading
a
the
draw.
rooks. It's a draw, pretty much. I think that was the right move. Well, what's up, Daingo? I think this is a draw, don't you think?
Who do you think's gonna win?
No one, actually.
No one. Honestly, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, what happens if it's a draw? Like, do they have to rematch?
I think, well, probably. I mean, they could either rematch or we could on move to the next round and then they rematch later.
I don't have time for that. Well, I do, but I don't want to have time for that. So, like, let's just make them rematch, I think. Let's make them do a shorter game. Like a 3-minute
shorter
game.
game?
Yeah,
No,
let's make them
5
do a
minutes.
3-minute.
5 minutes,
Yeah,
5
yeah.
minutes.
Let's make them do 5 minutes so they don't have to go, number 5. Like, fucking, like, you're not fucking intellectual. Oh, wow. I thought for fucking 10 seconds before I moved my chess piece. I'm so smart. No, you're not. You're still a loser. If you can't do it fast, then you're not smart. Doesn't count.
Do you think it's intellectual? to think about what you should do?
Yeah. Like, I don't fucking think for a single second before I move my chess pieces.
I wonder
like,
why
that's
you
why.
lost then in under 30 fucking moves.
And how many moves did I lose? What?
I don't know, but it was very, very quickly that you lost. Not gonna lie.
Well, you're a fucking piece. Shut up. Fuck you. That's all I have to say.
Vertigo asks in the Discord chat, is she restarted? voice chat, Discord voice chat.
Well, right now, mentally, yeah, but that's due to substance abuse, not because, you know, but like in general, no, not legally, but like, shut up.
Not legally? What does that even mean?
Like, I'm
Not
not,
legally.
I'm not legally retarded.
You mean medically?
No, like I'm not medically retarded either. I'm not like legally retarded. Pumpkin! Help!
Why are you mad at Pumpkin, dude? She just
I don't know.
breathed or something.
she should help. She laughed at me.
Yeah,
She's
dude, I'm
laughing at
laughing
me.
at you too.
She's laughing. Help me.
Anyone who's not laughing, raise your hand. See, bro? See?
White might win by time.
It's still equal in pieces. I mean, if we look, there's no en passant. I don't
Auntie,
think
take your
either of them.
pills. Tweaking. Oh shit.
There's no en passant, so there's no way anyone can win unless there is a way through that e-file. Maybe I don't know.
The
Sorry.
time. The time.
Though Ritz is
Yeah.
Ritz is
Fuck.
taking his sweet time, to be honest.
Yeah, he is. Like, I just know if I go into his room, he's gonna be like gripping his desk with his fucking gripper toes, and it's gonna be creepy.
Gripper toes?
Dude, his toes are like. Oh my god,
Okay,
his
well,
toes
we're
are
gonna
as long
stop
as my
talking-
fingers.
We're gonna stop talking about his toes. We're gonna stop
Why
talking
are we
about
gonna
his
stop
toes.
talking about his toes when it is a potential fucking gold mine for fucking
Because then you're gonna
money?
start revealing to people that you licked them or something.
You don't lick them.
Yeah, you just kissed them. Sorry, my bad.
No, I just kind of want to start taking pictures of them to sell online.
Okay, bro, stop. Someone cut her mic. Someone cut her mic, bro.
If
Please.
you had niche toes, you would also sell them online, okay?
Someone cut her
Having
mic.
long, flexible, double jointed toes is probably like a fucking godsend for the fucking foot fetish community, and he has to be like, and he's not even part of it. Like, that probably upsets them, honestly.
Did you do the did you end the poll for the under or over 30 moves?
I don't know what that means, and I didn't, but yeah.
And you
Monkey
did?
toes. Yeah, no, like he has monkey toes. You're making me lose brain cells. Thank you. Who the fuck are you? I mean, thank you for joining. Hello, I love you. Shit, just shut up.
Immediately-
Shut up.
Immediately switched up. Still, I don't know who's gonna win, to be honest. Yeah, I think White is gonna win, actually.
We're so similar.
If you look to the right, the far right,
Yeah.
if you look to the far right, if Black moves up that pawn
1 second.
on
1
the
second.
A file,
1 second. Shut up.
I think White wins Vertigo.
Did I just close Discord? Fuck. Fuck. Shit. I didn't mean to close Discord.
just joined?
Me.
Wait,
I left by accident. By the way, how is this game still going on? That's what I want to know. Oops.
King D3. That's definitely not D3. Oh. No, but I think it's gonna end in a draw. It is. I just don't see it, bro. Look, it's gonna end in a draw. Actually, it might not. It might actually not.
Sorry.
I think Black's king is in a really good shape. Black's king is in actually really good shape. Oh, I think you gotta do what you got. No, I think it's better to move the A pawn. I think it's better to move the A pawn, right? Oh.
What the fuck? I'm dying.
I don't think it matters. Well, he is up
Fuck you
one
then.
pawn, Black. Sorry, I'm sorry, not you. I wasn't saying it to you, dumbass.
Who wins? Kill him! No!
Oh yes. GG. Oh my god.
Fuck.
Oh my god. You did such a good fight, bro. So
Nah,
review the game.
can I-
Review
I-
the game. Review the game. Review the game.
Review the
Fight
game?
great.
No, I don't want to listen to that guy. I don't care.
Let me see
You
the
can
great
mute
moves.
him. You can
Let me
mute
see
him.
the-
That was
Let me
16
see-
excellent and one mistake and
Fuck. Miscalculated the end game. Jesus.
but who won?
Yeah,
You?
the when you captured that pawn in the middle, that was the losing. Like I calculated the run in both directions, and it was losing both ways. When I like pushed the pawn in the middle for the break, you just needed to move your king back. Because if I
Black
took, then you get your king in, and you have better opposition.
You could have pushed the pawn, and it's
Yeah, the
always
No,
Macedonian one.
because
so Black
pushing the
didn't win.
pawn is with check, and then you slide your king to cover the pawn. You just blockade the king with your pawn, or you blockade the pawn with your king, and I don't have any entry because you still have the pawns that are covering both
no,
the
but I
squares.
have to move my king afterwards because I'm in fucking what's it called?
Zugzwang.
Zugzwang. Yeah, that's
Well,
what
you
I
had your
thought.
pawn moves still.
No, but you had more pawn moves. You had like the two behind one pushed. So
It was
either
just
way,
that
like,
even if you move your
Wait,
king
let's
back, I
see the
can't do
game
anything
review.
with the pawn.
let's
Yeah,
see
let
the
me.
game review. Yeah.
I can't do it because I already did one today. Oh wait, I can do analysis. So it was like here.
I did not expect this.
This,
Western
yeah.
deck
See?
to fought so much time.
So this is a draw. I'm pretty sure you have to play that. See, that's the draw. Because if I come here, then you come back here,
Yeah.
and now I can't get in at all because you have these squares covered by your pawns, right?
Yeah.
I have no entries over here. There's no meaningful way to do a pawn break, right? So then like no matter what happens, let's just say I play this, you play this, and then I play this, right? Now, yeah, sure, your only move is coming back with the king, but that doesn't change anything because I can't do anything, right? And if I do this,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
though
yeah.
it's still a draw, it's completely deadlocked.
Wait, turn a bit like
Um,
a few what I did. Just played what I did.
Yeah, so here you
I-
take.
Yeah, I calculated this, but I didn't think like
So your best move is definitely this. I think.
yeah, I didn't think you would move the fucking pawn on the left up. You moved it
Yeah.
up, right?
So
No,
you
move.
you went here, didn't you?
Yeah, move. Yeah, next move. Your move?
Or oh, wait, that's what you played?
Yeah. Because I wanted you to make a move.
Yeah. So here,
I don't know what they're talking about, so I'm just gonna like wait until the next. You being okay though? No, split. Yeah, no, not suicidal. It's just like it's like a more physical depression. It's more like just feeling like shit, like really really tired. I've just been sleeping a lot. I had a call with someone yesterday about like the disease I've got. And they were like, yeah, it could be the kind that's like way worse than the thing you have, but they don't usually tell you about that because there's only one way to tell if you have it. It is when you get the surgery. And I was like, oh. And she was like, yeah, the waiting list is kind of long, but I can talk to people and see if, because you have been waiting a long time. So, like, I'm just, like, I'm just waiting. I'm gonna have to go on birth control, like, soon. And it's like, I've never been on it before, so I'm scared. It's horrible. And then she's like, oh yeah, I'm sure you know this, but there's no cure. Like, when she said that, I wanted to start crying, but I didn't. But, like, I wanted to. Was like, I told her, I was like, yeah, I do know about it, but I try not to think about it because it makes me sad. And then she said, oh, I'm sure you know, but there's no cure. I wanted to start crying. So sad. No, well, it's true, there's no cure. Like, there's no cure. Even if you get, even if you get your womb, your ovaries, and everything taken out, it can still come back. That's the thing. It's awful. Like, I wish I didn't have it. So sad. But yeah, I mean. Are
fuck.
you guys
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
your
that-
next?
that-
Are you guys
That's
doing
what
your
I
next
said.
one
Good luck.
yet?
No, we'll do losers brackets.
Yeah, please.
Losers
Zach,
brackets. Let me stream it. What?
Yeah, so it's going to be Zach and Ephod.
Yeah, so let me stream it. Give me a link.
Okay, well, they need to challenge. They need to do the challenge.
Yeah, so challenge each other, guys. Losers bracket.
let me challenge him. 5 minutes? 10 minutes? 10 minutes.
They recently found a cure for diabetes. Are you serious?
Yeah, that was China.
I mean, I guess like the thing I have is
It's
more
still,
similar to like
it's-
arthritis or something. So
It's
it's
still in clinical trials and still being tested, so
Yeah.
it's not commercially publicly released,
Okay.
as far as I know.
diabetes is a problem with one organ though, so it's kind of not the same as what I've got. But I mean, I guess whatever.
Refresh the page to reconnect.
By the way, just so you know, my rating, my rapid rating is kind of inflated. It isn't that high.
You have an inflation fetish?
Well, my
Okay.
rapid rating is
What he
probably
said.
mine is probably kind of underrated because the people I played against over the board are more like 1600.
Zach, I
so.
sent you the what?
Okay, next.
It's me versus
Zach and Ephod.
Send me a link.
Should I stream?
Someone
It's okay.
joined.
I'll get the link.
Someone joined the server, not Arthur.
It's
this?
I'll go get her. It's the new guy.
It's
he's-
probably the person that's in the chat.
Shit. Oh, he's in like 3 mutual servers, so I guess I'll just
By the
go
way, I
join.
like your board. It's fucking sick.
Thank you. Mine or Zach?
I have like a similar one.
Thank
It looks
you.
a little bit dumb, but yeah.
Okay, I'm sending the link.
Similar elos.
Okay, you getting up on stream?
Yeah, I have to like copy paste the link into my browser that I use on stream for chess.
Okay.
That should work. Is that it? There, that's
Yep.
working, right?
Yep. That's it.
Anyways, anything is possible. Yeah, they said that, but then it's like, I thought if I got all my shit removed, it would go away forever. But apparently, even if you get all your shit removed, it can still come back. So it's like that was
Really?
scary. Yes, that's what she said to me.
Oh my god! What? He didn't do it.
Hey, he isn't muted, by the way. So keep in mind.
Oh, is he deafened or muted?
No, he's just muted. He's not deafened.
Yeah.
He's never spoken
hear you.
ever because he's either because he's evil. That's why.
It's because he's an FBI agent.
I see. Says the blind man. He didn't
What does that
do it.
mean?
Why didn't he do it? Look. He
What
didn't
is
take
that?
He didn't take that.
He didn't take
How are
the
y'all
pawn.
today?
He didn't take that pawn. No.
The free pawn? Wow, big deal. I wouldn't say that's the best way to defend it.
No, it's definitely not. No. Probably should do this.
How are y'all today?
In the background, they're cheating.
Me?
I heard someone.
No, that's not my.
What?
What?
Yeah, it's just the new guy spoke.
Bro, how do I win at chess?
Yeah, I heard the Mexican guy in the background.
The new guy who just joined the fucking server spoke.
Oh
So
shit!
racist, she can
I
hear
just
the
asked how
Mexican, by the
everybody
way.
is. How's the day? For
You're not in the
Being
tournament, so
good.
you're not allowed to talk. I'm gonna move you out of the
Oh.
voice chat. No offense.
What?
Jesus.
What? No, I just like I can't. Like I'm already confused enough. I can't deal with another person. Okay.
W
You're gonna have
autism.
to do-
W autism.
Is it W
No.
autism? Oh, he
Excuse
muted
me, please,
himself.
she's just
W
autistic.
muted himself. Let's go.
Damn, sorry, man. Sorry you had to fucking
Excuse her.
listen.
She's just a little overwhelmed, hypersensitive. I'm sure you
Yeah,
understand.
she's just racist.
You guys are just kind of like fucking ableist, to be honest.
Guys, I need to definitely leave me.
It was a very even game
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
Which is quite good. And quite equally matched.
You got 2 horses.
No.
They got 2 horses. You gotta use your horses and go in with your horses.
No, Ethel, unironically, is pretty fucking good. Like, he's only missing, like, experience playing chess.
Yeah.
By the way, I beat him 1 time. I think. Unless it was a dream. I think I
Probably
did.
a dream.
Right? Didn't I
Oh.
beat him? Pumpkin.
I don't think
I
you've
swear
ever
to God,
played
I
him.
beat him, right?
I don't think you can beat anyone.
I
don't
beat
think you
Pumpkin
could win
so
against
many
yourself.
times, by the way.
So extensive.
Okay, what is Efo gonna do here?
Who are you dreaming about? Oh, one time I had a dream about an old man and he just like started screaming at me because I tried to feed his horses.
Yeah, nice.
And I
nice.
don't know who
Okay,
that
yeah,
old
I
man
like that.
was. She dreamt she beat Eve. I didn't beat him! And I beat you! Like, oh my god, she's such a bitch. I've beaten you so many times. Alright, we're 1v1ing. Like, we're fucking... After the tournament, we're 1v1ing.
Don't interrupt the turn. Wait, what the fuck happened there?
He
Bro.
lost the queen.
Oh no, he didn't see that the knights were defending each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
He doesn't want to triple
The
his
tripled pawns. Fucking pawn tower.
Wooden shield!
with a knight on top. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wooden shield!
He's making.
Okay. I think short castles is underrated here. I think short castles is
Ooh,
okay.
yeah.
Great,
Nice.
lovely. He's going straight for the kill.
He's good.
Is he good?
Yeah.
Okay, now queen
Uh.
d8. Queen d8.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it doesn't. That's not an immediate threat, but it at least activates the queen.
Yeah, and, like queen d3 later.
Yeah.
Just fucking putting pressure everywhere. Or he can go like a5.
Oh, he actually is playing. He's listening. Oh well, now he can actually. You can just take on. You can just take d2 with the knight or with the bishop.
GPT. He asked
And
God.
he did it.
He's
He
asking
got.
God.
Yeah, nah,
Guys,
he's
guys.
good.
Okay,
Only
he's
if
playing,
it
and that's me. That's me. Does he see it? You better see it.
Only Viewfoot is muted, so you're kind of helping the other guy.
But
Helping the other guy. He's about to lose in like 3 seconds.
yeah, Efod is fucking nasty. We cast.
Someone just joined my stream and said, "What
He's
the
just
fuck
stalling.
is even?"
Oh, he didn't see it. No.
He forgot. He forgot.
Deafening. We're doing a chess tournament, but I'm 100 elo. I don't know what's going on. This guy's listening to the guy casting in the voice chat, and this guy is deafened. So, like, shut the fucking mouth. I don't know what's going on. Look, you've got Black just missed mate and won. Yes, that's what happened. Yeah. Like that. Or something. I'm just upset that I got knocked out in the first round. Like, Pumpkin told me that she has been using books. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna read books and I'm gonna watch chess videos to learn before the tournament." And I said, "Well, you're a fucking loser if you have to do that." And she did it anyway. And that's how she beat me, obviously. Very upsetting. Because we've had good games before. And now who am I supposed to play against? Like my little sister? She'd probably beat me. So that wouldn't be fun either. I don't know. It's undeafened.
Please don't take the bishop. Don't take the bishop. Don't take. No! Don't take the bishop. No!
Not that
He
deep.
missed
Calm
mate
down.
again. He missed a checkmate in one again.
Wait, let me.
It's not
Let
that
me, let me
deep.
try something, let me-
Oh, he cares too much. Indefinite. See what they're saying now.
Oh shit.
Oh, rook e4. Yeah, rook e4. I mean, that's
Rook
also
e4.
good.
Rook e4.
No, rook e4.
Oh, rook. Rook e4.
Honestly, just fucking sack. I mean, yeah, you can
Sack.
take with the rook.
Just take the
Yeah.
rook.
Yeah. Yeah, he's calculating the sack.
He wants to sack the. Nah,
Why is he fucking?
that's fine.
Why did he consider every move I said? The fuck.
I mean, there was a pretty easy mate if you take the rook with the rook, and then knight takes, and then just give a check, and knight comes back to block.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Okay, now. Okay. I don't like how he's giving Zach the chance to get rid of some attack.
Now he'll
attacking
see.
momentum.
He'll take the rook now, and he can go queen a1 like for
I feel like in the mind of a 200 elo player, he's going to play a1 now. Oh, never mind. Oh, that's a free knight for Zach. He didn't see it. Oh, what?
Oh.
What is that?
I don't
Oh,
see
what's
it.
good?
I don't see it. What's happening?
Bro.
He can move the
Okay,
queen.
he saw the free knight. He saw the free rook. He just donated one of his first for some
This
reason.
guy was pretending to be stupid. I knew it.
Nah, don't talk shit about my boy Zach.
Okay, now we just
Have you
need to play
seen his?
A1.
If you should fucking see his spelling.
A1 is free.
Nah, don't diss him. Don't do him like that.
Mm.
Why are you so rude?
I feel like if he plays like Queen A1, even though
You would lose to him still, Martha.
yeah,
You Squiddo.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
it's
no,
below.
it would.
you should actually play.
That's a good pawn move. Nice. I mean, he could have taken with the queen, but yeah, he's gonna promote now.
Make a knight. Make a knight. Make a knight. Ah, fuck.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay, now it surely it's easy from here. He's down on time. He's got 3 minutes to checkmate. And he's up 2 queens and a rook and about 4 pawns.
It says that it's very humid where he's at. If you check on
Is
the
that-
bottom right side.
Oh, is that because he's
on the
Mexican?
screen. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
I
says
don't
that.
like that he's taking all the pawns. It's just gonna increase his chance of stalemate.
Nah, I think he's good at seeing mate, so I don't.
Who
Although he
will-
missed the mate in one like 3
Oh.
times.
Who will
Last
win?
game he was good at it.
It's like me.
Oh no! Oh my god! Please. Okay, thank fuck.
Yeah.
GG.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Black found a tactic and took the advantage away from white. I'll show you a game review. Fuck you.
Okay, so next up is Meta and Pumpkin.
Were you guys watching that game? Oh
I
my god,
muted
9
all of them.
misses.
Yeah, you missed mate in one about like 4 or 5 separate times, and like
I'm
early
sorry.
as well. Not just when you were 2 queens up.
And
Like
it's not his
early
fault.
on, you missed a mate in
I
one.
started twerking with my VTuber model, so it's kind of like it's not his fault. Like he got distracted.
Okay. I'm bad at chess, man.
Fuck you mean you fucking destroyed his ass?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, but like I could have made mate in like early on.
No, unironically, you're 500 Elo maybe, like around that level.
That's so good. Wait, what's
Yeah,
my
probably like 400 or
elo?
500.
Wait, if he's 500,
No,
is that...
you're like 1.
Okay. Okay.
You actually speed run losing the game.
Okay.
Got her queen in 7.
Okay.
Like it's actually impressive how efficiently you get rid of your own pieces.
Yeah.
It's
watch
actually
tutorials
crazy.
or something.
Okay.
Whose turn is it now to play?
It's
Pumpkin.
Me?
yeah, Pumpkin and Meta. Who's Meta again? Is that Zap?
I don't know.
I think it's Zap.
And I'm playing the winner. Oh shit.
I sent the username. Can
Why
you
are
invite
they
me?
blaming you so hard? Damn. Yeah, because, like, he lives with me and he steals my alcohol, so he thinks that he owns me. I guess.
Wait, the loser bracket's kind of fucking intense. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
Yeah.
Who's in the loser bracket?
Can you steer her
People-
towards
everyone who
ending the
lost.
poll so that I can get my points? by
But
the
not
way?
me, because I lost twice, right?
Oh, is there still the poll of the under over 30
Yeah.
moves?
Yeah. Can you please do that? I want my points.
Okay, fine, I'll do it. How do I do it?
I know there was some
I'm muting
insider
myself.
trading in that game.
You type /prediction in chat, and then you do
No, we're
decide
actually all
prediction,
adults
and then you
Destroyer. We
click
just
over.
sound-
Bro also needs to mute himself, or I'm not muting myself.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I
You-
mean,
you
you're
can
the
just
server owner,
server deafen.
Widow. You can just deafen them, server deafen
Oh,
them.
choose the outcome. What was the outcome?
Over.
She's
Over
already
30 moves.
distracted.
Okay,
I swear, if she
so it was
if she
over,
pressed-
right?
Yeah, over,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we
yes.
started.
Please
You
don't
messed
lose
up,
me
man.
my 5,000
Okay,
points.
there we go.
Thank you.
Right.
Are all of you 10-year-olds? What is happening to this guy?
No, don't ban him. No.
What?
Are we starting? Okay.
Why would you ban him? It's a genuine question.
I'm offended.
Wait. Just chill for a minute. Jeez.
Okay, Loper.
Yo, they're playing. They're playing.
Oh,
You
okay.
know?
Yeah, they definitely.
Oh shit,
Let's
send
see
me a
what-
link.
What's their name? Meta 0911. There.
Wait. Wait.
What's
This might
happening?
end. This might end. This might end.
Already,
Oh,
wait,
no,
is
no,
it
no.
Scholars Mate? No way.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it? No
yeah.
way.
Wait.
Oh my god. Wait. No.
Come on,
Yeah.
I'm sending a
come on.
DM. I'm sending the link. I sent the link. Quickly watch it. Oh no. Oh
Oh,
no,
come
please
on,
not a
come on.
Scholars Mate.
Oh no, I'm a loser and I play chess. Living.
No.
Oh wait, no,
No, wait,
that's
wait,
defended.
wait.
It's defended.
I didn't see it.
Bro, you would have just sacked your queen right there.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. He did it.
Oh
He
my
did it.
god.
To be honest, who defends
Oh,
that line? To be honest,
Anything! Look on my
It's only
screen!
legal.
I sent you the link.
it's
I'm
the only
watching
legal
the
move.
link. Look, I'm on the link.
Nice. Holy.
Uh-oh.
You're not.
It's honestly a fucking weird ass move. Like how do you
Oh
defend
my
it?
fucking god, wait, and he just took it.
Oh. Whew. Oh,
That
oh, the
was
bishop.
that was harrowing.
That is peak. That is peak right there.
Oh. Can't wait for
And it wasn't even on the
fucking
stream
attempt to mate.
because she can't figure out how to open the link.
Look here, look. Look, you see? Look, it's there.
Okay. Yeah,
Jesus.
now you're.
Liar!
Oh, she can take the pawn.
Oh shit, I wasn't up to date. I was
Oh,
paused.
you fucking
Okay.
liar. Meow, 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 meow.
Honestly, someone should teach Pumpkin the ladder mate. Like,
Pumpkin's smart. Like, Pumpkin actually has a brain. It makes me jealous.
Okay, well, there's a mate in one right there for black. Does she see it? Does Pumpkin see it? Queenie one?
maybe she's thinking about taking the knight. I don't know.
Or Queen D or Queen D2.
Well,
Okay,
GG,
that's also
Pumpkin
fine.
is gonna win.
Pumpkin doesn't win. We have a suicide pact.
What?
Now, any queen move to the back rank is mate. Every single queen move to the back rank.
Yeah.
Okay. Takes the free piece, that's fine as well.
Ah,
Good
Didn't even get
design.
the
Good
get the
job!
checkmate.
Yay!
You're
Okay.
bored, Zach?
Yay!
That was a
bro.
quick game.
I have stuff
Who's
to do.
next?
You're a board?
Who has stuff to do?
Oh, he left.
Who said that?
Oh.
Who was what and who? What? Who said that?
The guy who lost. The guy who lost.
Which one was
I
that?
think-
Zap.
Zap. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What did you say?
I'm gonna say thank you for joining.
He left.
Because he joined, like, he was
He
like,
had
he
stuff to do.
decided he was gonna join 2 days ago, which is epic.
Epic.
I did not mean to say that number.
Okay, so
Bad boy.
that means the Squiddo, Zach, and Zap are all completely out.
What?
No,
I'm
I
not
played
bad at
with the bad
chess?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be
I
Vertigo.
don't know.
Well, you were the first one completely out. You placed
Yeah.
last in the entire tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. Double lost. Double lost. At
You
the
lost
start
your
of the
first game
league.
against Pumpkin, and then you lost your first game in the losers bracket against Efode, and you were just out.
The ultimate loser. We should make like a double losers bracket for her.
Vertigo, I'm challenging you to a 10-minute match. Let's go. I sent the challenge.
Time to see it.
I'm streaming.
GG Squid. Oh yeah, GG. I may as well just end the fucking stream, right?
No, you need to show the rest of the games. That's the
The
entire
fuck?
point.
What kind of host are
Yeah,
you?
fine, whatever.
Nice event, bro. Oh, I lost. Okay, yeah. Event ended.
I mean, I don't even blame her.
Let me know when your
I've-
guys' game starts so I can watch it and send Squid the link.
Yeah, because I need the link.
I
Yeah.
sent the challenge, but I don't know.
The face tracking is so good now. Look.
What is she doing? Why is she making those noises? Squid noises.
One else left.
Let's see. I'm gonna ping Vertigo.
Should I issue another challenge?
If I mean, because they asked earlier, oh, how long until my next game? Maybe
I'm gonna
they
shut up
don't.
now.
Maybe
Oh,
they're
they
not
accepted.
sure.
They accepted. They accepted.
Oh, okay.
They accepted.
Okay, nice.
I'll deafen.
Yeah. Vertigo deafen, if you can, please.
I'm sending you the link.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Check
not sure,
DMs. Squid.
but
Yeah.
I'm kinda fucking sus of Bot Boy. Not gonna lie.
Who? Which one?
No,
Stuff
this
with
is-
eFode.
No, against Vertigo. I'm kind of sus.
Why?
We had a whole
I don't
sus
know.
thing against him. That was like the whole fucking point when he first joined the server.
Yeah,
like,
oh,
it's
yeah.
probably it's
No.
probably the person we thought it was the whole time. Who cares?
No, like he plays. Yeah, he blunders, but he plays like fucking like.
He
3
plays very
or so
solid at the beginning,
moves,
yeah.
Like moves in a row. He'll have like 5 moves in a row that are fucking perfect, and then like a few that are ass.
Yeah, whatever. It's probably that one guy using ChatGPT. So
Add a fucking ChatGPT counter.
You should actually ask ChatGPT for advice in chess
Hmm?
and see how bad it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
if they
ChatGPT
fixed it,
literally
but-
just like spawns pieces in out of thin air
really,
and
Yeah.
hallucinates that
how do I talk to
Things exist.
ChatGPT?
you just
I
say out loud,
Hello?
ChatGPT, can you hear me? And it responds.
Treat it like a fucking god.
No, why would I do that?
Why
I don't
am
want to give it
I
that much
can't
power.
spectate?
Yeah, I'm watching it. You can watch on his.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
history.
Yeah. Okay, that's a solid
And pl-
move.
Plus, he survived like really long, and he played really well against Dango. So that's the main
Oh.
thing. But I don't know. He's playing really ass right now, so
I can definitely hear you.
probably.
I mean, it might be that he actually plays chess quite a bit. So
Maybe yeah.
because he doesn't have that many games online. He only
But
has
he's,
21 games on chess.com.
Yeah.
Why
He's
is
underrated.
he Bot Boy 68 and not Bot Boy 67? That's what I want to know.
Maybe Botboy 67 was already taken.
No.
I don't actually like this position too much for eFode though.
Yeah.
Why? Because you wish
Like-
he was doing it to you?
I don't know.
He's-
I may be over paranoid, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously here White is still clearly better,
Yeah.
but when in a low elo situation, it's like moves that threaten pieces and force you to defend, like move your piece somewhere safe, is always scary.
By the way, there's a bag of potato chips on the floor outside your bedroom.
I already finished them.
You fuck! What the hell? Really? I
Oh, the
thought
jalapeno
here
cheese
I
ones,
was
yeah.
thinking you were gonna fucking step on them by accident. I already ate them. Holy shit! I was warning you. What? You fat motherfucker.
Yep.
That's why his ass
Let's
is
see.
so huge.
Here, probably just bishop c4 and then short castles.
Yeah, I'll
Whatever
take the
that
pawn,
means.
like on g5. He
Well,
can
the one that's
activate the
defended
bishop.
by the. Oh yeah, I mean you can trade off and when a pawn.
Maybe like, oh yeah,
I think though, especially at low elo, like you want to keep your queen on the board for as long as you can because it's so much easier to mate with it than without it.
yeah.
Like if this came down to a king and rook against a king, I don't know if either of them would be able to mate the other. I mean, you can take the other one now for free if he wants. Not terrible.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
I really hope
Yeah,
he
person
that's
who
what I
said,
mean,
what
like-
the fuck
like-
is even happening?
like
They didn't
all
even
these-
follow
Oh
or
yeah,
anything.
no.
No, that was like a really big brain move. You see what I mean? Like,
Oh, it's rough.
like a few, like 10 ass moves and then like 3 fucking. Ah, fuck.
What? Oh no! What is he doing? What is he doing? He's crumbling.
I just want you to know,
It was
if
so big.
you're using ChatGPT to win this game, we will find out. We will know.
Who are you talking to?
And we will
Well,
find out exactly
they're
who you
both
are and
deafened.
where you live.
They're both deafened.
I'm just shut up. No, they're not. I'm
They
telling
are.
No,
them.
if someone's stream sniping and cheating,
Yeah, exactly.
we'll hear, yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
find you. We'll find you. We'll find you. We'll get you. I know who you are. I have 3 suspects in my head right now, and I know their addresses. So either you come forward or I dox and
Like,
swat
G3
every single one of those 3 people, and it's your fault.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just saying shit.
Okay,
Like
Okay,
G3
right here-
was a really big brain move, I think.
Efo needs the long castle here, or he's just going to be completely stuck for the rest of the game. I think.
La policia! Dude, I'm
Yeah.
ice. I'm the ice of my own fucking Twitch chat. I don't care.
Like, I don't know, maybe because Vertigo like plays like really cool ass moves sometimes.
He's cheating!
Like the last game.
I mean, for Vertigo here, H3 looks quite nice. Rook H3.
H.
Because you just can't defend. Like, you can defend the pawn if you bring your king in, but realistically, Efo's not going to do that. I don't think. And even then, you get to swap off a bishop
Yeah.
and a rook for a queen and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pawn.
Yeah, this B6 is a really good move. There goes go bishop.
Yeah,
These,
activate his bishop would be nice.
Whatever that means.
And I think black.
these
I think black still has
250
his
euro.
castle in the race.
Yeah. And white does too, right?
Yeah, white does
At
too.
Gork, what's the best what's the best chess move I can make in this situation? That's what he's asking right now.
Yeah, I think he saw. Nah.
So basically, to beat someone who's
Ah.
using AI, you gotta do it as fast as you can. So they can't ask AI that fast, right?
Because
Nobody is
if you want to
asking
cheat,
AI.
you use a fucking chess engine.
Okay, that's a
Yeah,
free
What's
bishop.
what's a chess engine?
That's a free bishop for Aphod. It's just a computer that you put.
No,
notes
no,
into
he
and
can't
it just
take
tells
his
you the
spin.
best
You
move.
put a computer inside your
Oh, yeah, that's
computer?
true. Yeah, he's got to play. He kind of has to play like.
Nah, that's what.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Like he
Queen
plays some
F7,
fucking.
Queen F6.
Like who thinks? Yeah. Who thinks of that shit?
Ooh, that was embarrassing.
Nah.
He-
Good.
He's cheating. He's
Who's-
cheating. He's
who?
cheating. I think he's
Ooh.
cheating. Everybody else says he's cheating. So
Nah, he's not
how
cheating.
how do we
he's
prove that
not
he's
cheating.
using a chat GPT to cheat?
I don't think he's
Well, if-
cheating.
If
I
you
think
want
he
to
hasn't
I-
played online much.
I
and
think
is-
he's
and
cheating, and I've
underrated.
seen how he spells stuff, and I saw how. Remember, remember, remember when we were accusing him of being.
He's Dutch.
You know,
It's not his English is not his
yeah,
first language.
how do we know he's Dutch? We were accusing him of being a specific person.
Because he
remember,
eats fucking.
How do we
he
know he's
eats
out?
fucking hagelslag.
could be his
Oh,
friend.
I played,
Could be his
I
friend.
played horribly there, I think.
Not
Prove-
a single person
prove
in
you're
America
Dutch.
knows what
Prove you're
hagelslag
Dutch.
is.
Turn your fucking camera on and walk outside. Into traffic.
Jesus.
Not into traffic, no.
Right.
Sorry, I just say that. That was
Shut
so funny.
the
Prove
fuck
it. Kill
up.
yourself.
Kill yourself on camera and then give us your blood and do a blood test
Don't
to
do
prove
that.
that you.
Don't do that, please.
Okay, now it's London versus Pumpkin.
Oh, send me a link.
Oh shit!
I want it.
Already?
Can you guys
not-
review that match? I want to see where the mist was.
How do I do that? Okay, let me do that.
What's your
Um,
what's your?
An inaccuracy is a
chess
weak
account,
move, which
okay.
isn't a
And chess
That was a
special.
is
nice
like
tactical find for black in
It's
this
in just
game.
chat.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can
Oh,
I just
yeah.
give up?
No, you need to
I'm-
beat
I'm
him
sorry.
quickly.
Damn.
Just, you should let her win so that she dates you.
Yeah,
I
that
would
definitely is
accept
how
that
it
offer.
works.
I would accept that.
Genius.
I mean, if the offer was made.
Am I still streaming? Oh, I am. Thank God I
I-
clocked that. I was about
definitely-
to be born.
Yeah, definitely.
I got somebody
Bro,
early.
Yeah.
Bro,
So-
you could.
Just-
Someone
London's
earlier
been
said,
practicing
"What
all
the fuck
day."
is even happening? Is it one
are
team
you guys
versus
watching?
another team?" And they just left, and they never. And then they said, "Are all of you 10-year-olds?"
Wait, do you have
And
the
they
game
didn't
open?
follow, and they left. Never said anything else. I have the game open, yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely. I'll definitely.
It's really.
Yeah, okay, we're very similar in Blitz. We're basically exactly the same rating in Blitz.
Are all of you 10-year-olds is fucking crazy. Send me the link.
Like, how many games did you play before the tournament? Jeez. Like 20 games today? 20 Blitz games? Amazing. Oh, game started. Sending you the link. Guido, I sent you the link. Get the game up on stream quickly. It's already, everything's already going down. Everything is happening already.
Okay, I got it. This is not only just a chess game, this is a romantic game.
Oh God, I lost at move 13.
That's unlucky.
That's
Yeah.
where I lost.
It was quite, I forget what it was exactly. I can't remember.
Apparently,
La
apparently
la.
the algorithm says I was winning, but it was just at some point I just fucking.
But you
lost.
were, you had a very good position at the very beginning.
Oh my god, the fucking motion tracking is actually so good right now.
Okay, wait. I'm threatening to fork the king and a rook here. And there isn't really the greatest options for London to defend. Bishop b3 coming back, but that allows the pumpkin. Oh, and he just ignores it. So she can fork the king and the rook for free, get a rook, but it means that, okay, she goes for it. It just means that London's going to be counterattacking really hard on the other side. Woman's probably going to take the rook with the bishop. Yep. Pumpkin needs to take back with the... no. She
Can you
didn't...
guys look in general chat, please? Because it's very, very funny.
I don't know what happened.
It's very
I-
funny. Please look.
It was just that I liked you going for the fort, but the thing is you didn't have enough time to defend the counterattack.
To be honest, I knew the opening. Like I had
No.
few moves that memorized and shit. So
Who won?
London won.
yeah.
Okay.
So we can do what's this?
By the way, you knew the Vienna when I played against you a little bit.
I don't know the Vienna, to be honest. And I actually usually don't like playing against the Vienna. But the pawn move, like the second one, where you basically have all 4 pawns in the middle, that's just something I tend to find. Like I don't know it as theory. I just look at all my options, and that pawn move usually just looks the best. But that is the main line, isn't
you
it?
encounter it. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I wouldn't know. I don't know my openings that well. I only really know like the Italian, King's Indian, like I guess a little bit of Caro-Kann.
Yeah, I play the Caro.
Like I don't play as black. I just run into it a lot as white because I play King's Pawn.
Shut up!
Okay. Next we can do. Okay, so just so
You're
London
next.
doesn't have to keep playing games in a row. Let's do me versus Dango.
Damn.
If you win, the whole tournament's over, by the way. Because
If I win.
yeah, because whoever
No,
wins whoever wins gets $50, and that's
No,
how
but there's a
much
chance.
she needs.
No, there's a chance. So even if Dango loses to me, right, then he plays against London in the losers bracket, and then if she wins, she
Yeah.
plays against London
If I
in the
win.
losers bracket,
If I win.
and then if she beats London, she comes back into the winners bracket in the final.
Assuming I win.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, so let's where is?
Should I start cooking in the kitchen or
No,
Okay.
no, you should not cook while
Wait,
you are
Dango
drunk.
has to defend up, right? Yeah. After the challenge.
Yeah, I'll definitely will. I'm sending a challenge.
hungry? Do you guys ever jump for joy when you smell the smell of it? Delicious foods.
Now let her
Cook here.
let her defend up first, so I can give you a tip,
Okay.
professional tip.
Okay, can you serve a deafen?
With me?
Yeah, can you serve a deafen Dango and me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
What?
She plays really fast and she
You
makes.
guys need to
mistakes.
remind
Okay,
me
I'm
to
the best
fucking
player usually.
undeafen them afterwards. Or I'll forget. Why is he still able to talk? Hello?
Because he's deaf and he's not muted.
Oh shit. Fuck.
I mean, you don't have to mute him. Like
I do. He's annoying. I do.
I think
You
you
got
have too
the
much
first-
power with this.
Is this the first game between them? Or did I
Yeah,
miss?
I think so, yeah.
Look, she's playing so fucking fast. Look at this shit.
Well, I'm
Stupid.
not on the fuck. I don't have a fucking link. No one sent me a link.
Just watch his stream. Oh,
I-
right.
Yeah, but
Oh
yeah,
fuck,
my
fuck,
God.
fuck.
Can someone send me a link?
No. He fucking
know how to
lost
get
his
the link.
queen.
Already?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
good.
he can take it back,
Okay,
but like,
I'll just draw.
he's rewinding the game. When
I'll
did it
just,
go wrong?
I'll just draw it. What happens?
I forgot.
Um,
FML.
Nah, I fucking saw that shit. Nah.
I'll just draw what's happening.
What?
Yeah, I'll destroy it.
He has to. Ah, he's gonna lose the bishop. Ah, fuck.
GG.
And the knight after that. I mean, there will be a trade, but yeah.
This is what he gets for being fucking rude to me, by the way. Like,
The lesson learned: don't be rude to you. Goddamn.
and this is the queen.
Yeah, she'll get the knight. I think.
I can't even see what's going on, but like, this is my idea.
What is that?
No.
Is that a Nautilus?
Damn.
smack
And
you.
then bro lost only
Blunder.
10 seconds.
Bro did a blunder.
I fucking forgot. I
Forgot.
wasn't even looking, and I didn't even see the fucking
Send me a
long
link. I
castle.
had to draw what was going on based on what people were saying to me. I had to draw
Nah.
it.
Oh,
Nah, she plays too fast, man.
So
She-
this is what I drew. Do you guys think it's accurate?
I wasn't fucking. What the fuck are you drawing?
This is what happened. Like,
Well,
Very accurate.
fucking
Yeah.
Rotom from Pokemon and fucking Garbodor.
no, she's mugging you. Okay.
What's
Foggy.
Vertigo's name?
Let me give her a
Like,
little
on
skirt.
chess?
Also, I meant to send the challenge where I'm as white, since usually you give white to the person who's lower, but it's all good. I just have to beat
figured it out.
London. I just have to beat London for a second
Didn't you
chance.
play already?
Or Vertigo.
I'm against Botboy, right?
Yeah.
Ugly?
So the winner
Bot Boy.
of yeah,
Wait, what's his?
Vertigo in Discord.
Botboy
Look.
68.
Why does
68, right.
nobody care as much as I do about the guy who said, "Are you guys all 10 years old?" and then he left and he never said anything else? I'm the only one who cares.
Honestly, I
Really?
kind of feel him.
Because we're not autists.
Well, he thought that you guys were such autists that you acted like you were 10.
I'm gonna challenge him. Keep
Honestly,
a
he was
close eye on
probably
him.
just referring to you specifically only.
Yeah, sure, because I'm not. He said, "Are all of you guys all 10 years old?" So
Yeah, but yeah, he was probably just referring to you only.
yeah, okay, sure. Fuck you.
I
fuck
sent a
you.
challenge. Alright, everyone, tell me when you watch the game. Not
Okay,
making a
yeah,
move.
I am giving the link. That's the link. Good.
Oh, he's still watching. He's still on the stream. He's still in the stream.
Who's still in the street? Wait, really?
He's not.
And then, yeah,
Wait,
No.
I mean,
I
can tag
I
him,
am,
I
I
can
am,
tag
I am,
him.
I am. Oh my god, he's here. He's
No.
here.
I can tag
Maybe he
him.
has it muted.
No, he's not
No,
in the viewer
I'm
list.
gonna hide him. I'm gonna hide him. Look.
I mean, I was able to tag him in the stream. So I don't know.
I tell me when you got the game open.
Open the
No, this is
game.
not the same
Streamer.
guy.
Streamer, check your DMs and open the link.
Okay.
on stream.
Oh my bad, yeah.
I will auto abort in 15 seconds. Okay?
Yeah, you can do your first move. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I'll wait a few seconds. Then-
There's no way that was the wrong guy. Fuck.
Alright, I'll definitely.
Get the link up on stream, streamer.
Hang on a second, please.
Hurry up.
Dreamer. Dreamer.
There.
Wrong
Right?
guy, little bro.
Yep.
Wrong guy, huh?
No, I mean,
You pinged the wrong
tagged
guy
the
in
wrong
Twitch chat.
guy. Twitch chat. Yeah.
That was the guy who joined the Discord that you
No.
pinged.
Wait, who was
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Hang on. Who
It was
that?
S-
The guy that joined the
Destroyer.
Discord was Alv Go Getter.
Oh yeah, shit,
Yeah, and the
you're
guy
right.
who called you 10-year-old is S Destroyer.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Ass?
You did.
You know, what if it's a 10-year-old that's just looking for other 10-year-olds on Twitch?
The fuck? Don't say that. That's not funny.
Why? Why?
Because it makes me feel bad. I don't want to fucking.
You feel bad about insulting kids? That's crazy.
Well, yeah, if I'm doing it live, like if I was doing it and no one knew about it, yeah, no, I wouldn't feel bad. But like if people know about it and I do it live and there's evidence, yeah, I'd feel bad.
I see.
Yep, London takes the free pawn. Good.
I'm just gonna-
there's
I'm
like
just gonna shut up.
there's
I'm
there
just
is
gonna shut up.
voice. Yeah, shut up. There's voice chat in Roblox, right? But you have to like verify to like use it.
Take the pawn.
I guarantee, like, if there was not verification, I would be screaming at like 6-year-olds. I would probably be arguing with them, like they were the same age as me.
Oh my god. Just someone cut her mic.
Like
please.
they would call me a
Someone-
poo-poo head, and I would crash the
Someone-
fuck out.
Someone unplug her mic. I beg.
Nice.
You
Yeah,
just
that's a
hate
really
the
good
truth.
move. Okay, now if Vertigo takes with the bishop, then Queen takes back with check, winning the other bishop. That is completely fine. You can just take the pawn with the bishop. Bishop takes back.
This is the apex of skill matchmaking, mostly.
If the queen blocks, he wins the rook. If the king moves, now bishop, or you're probably just going to bring the knight out into the. I'm so bored, bro. You made tournament. I'm screenshotting that.
I call me delusional, but I thought that I would be at least in the second to last round.
Holy
You thought you were
crap.
going to be in the semi-final.
I thought I was
Oh my
gonna
God,
be
let's call her
pumpkin
all
on
delusional, guys.
mode. I thought I hate you all fucking.
Jesus.
I was gonna be you guys. I thought it was gonna be pumpkin and Gifford. Like, I really did think that.
Bring a rook out. Or that. Yeah. Rook. Come on, just checkmate him.
They're the same.
This is painful to see.
Queen d4. Queen d4 is nearly checkmate.
What
That's interesting.
is that move?
That's fine, actually.
Couldn't they have just taken the pawn?
No, it's defended by the queen. Now the king has to go to f6. Nice.
There we go.
Oh shit!
I
Okay.
might have been overly paranoid.
The Macedonian one. I mean the Macedonian
Oops.
one.
Wait,
Racism.
I put the wrong person as the winner.
Undefined to actual
Look.
racism.
Katzen said it first, not me.
Yeah, he's racist. That's why he said it.
yeah,
What
you
the
see,
fuck
yeah,
you
he's
mean?
really racist.
Okay, now time for
What's
me and
the-
London to rematch.
Wait, shit, really? Oh my god.
Yeah, so
Where's
let me just
Pumpkin?
check who played which color. So I was black last time we played.
Yeah, I
so
was white, I was
this
white.
time I'll play white.
Yes, sir.
I will.
Yeah, I have to challenge you.
Dude, what did you say? Pumpkin turned you on.
Oh, you
so
have to
much
challenge.
You couldn't play.
It's chess. 47, right?
47, yeah.
Yeah, you're. Well, I'm playing with black.
The Yuri is real.
I send the challenge. Wait for
Okay.
these people to fucking.
Yeah. Let me get your profile up and get the watch link first. Good. Okay. Streamer, put the game on. Streamer, put the game on.
Yes.
I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Good night.
Put the link on the stream.
Good night.
Good night.
GG's. Okay, I think she's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it.
I don't know,
Okay.
definitely.
I'm gonna deafen. Yeah.
So as you can see, they are doing a pawn strategy right now, where you put your pawn in front of the other one to intimidate them. What happened? Was that noise from Tao? Okay. Yeah. You intimidate them. He's got his 2 horses out. And he doesn't even have his second horse out yet. Oh my goodness, he stole the bishop. He's dead. He's dead. There's nothing you can do about it. It's dead. Forever. And now, what will you do? The horses are moving. The bishops are moving. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, so I can't cast. Sorry. Seems good so far. Yeah. Well, like, why is it 10 minutes?
I know, right?
Oh, fucking spider! This is spider. This is spider on me. Oh no! Oh my god! This is spider.
Imagine, guys, imagine he loses because versus is so freaking.
I don't know where it's gone. So fucking scared. It's down here somewhere. It's on the floor and I can't fucking see it. Oh my god! It was on my foot! It crawled on my foot! It fucking crawled on my foot! I thought you liked bugs. Yeah, I do, but not when they fucking crawl on me. Like, I do very much like bugs. However, if they're crawling on me without consent, I don't really like that. I don't know. It's a bit weird. I can't tell who's gonna win here. Like, where the fuck did that spider go? I'm actually fucking terrified. I know I'm not muted in the voice chat. Why are you all not saying anything? I got fucking attacked by a spider and no one's saying, oh no, I'm so sorry for you. Pumpkin,
I mean,
hello? There's a
I'm
fucking
huge.
spider on my foot!
I'm sorry. I can't talk anymore.
Spider on my foot. It's on my
It's
foot.
fucking 5 a.m.
It was on my foot and then it flew away. Oh my god. It fucking ran away.
Gonna shut up and go to sleep. Good
It's a
night.
fucking spider. Okay.
Luck.
Who's a spider? And I don't want to kill it. Pumpkin got to go to bed, girl. Yeah, for real. Pumpkin don't give a fuck. But I know if that happened to Pumpkin, she would have probably had a mental breakdown. Genuinely. I'm very sleepy. Can I just like give Can I just like give the person who's probably gonna win like their dollars now? This is why we do 5-minute games! Oh my god, they're taking so- I'm actually gonna fucking piss them. Yeah, I'm gonna piss them off. Watch this.
What's going on?
You're pissing me off, stop fucking stalling. That's
What is going on? We're thinking and taking it seriously. Shut the
Don't
fuck
give a
up.
shit! Like, shut the fucking hurry up! I'm not being a cheerleader for him, SMH. He stole all my fucking alcohol off me. So shut the fuck up. Okay? All of it. He took all of it off me. All of it. It's all gone. I don't have anything left. Why are you drunk then? Well, he just took the extra that I bought. Shut up. It's not your business. Shut up. You know, I want to go make onion rings right now. But this is probably a really good game for people who like chess. This is probably very entertaining for people who aren't stupid like me. But for me, all I see is randomly generated. Like I don't know. I don't get it. You have 60k points. Holy shit. I have 20k points on Oki's stream. Fourth. Yeah, who's third? He's winning. Wait, check the points. Yeah, let me do that. I am number 1. That is very sad. Effium is number 3. You are number 4. The guy who was banned is number 6. Oh my god, guy who like joined here, Mustly is like really high up considering Oh. What I want to know is why does Pumpkin not have that many fucking points? What a bitch. What the hell? Man, I fell off. No, you didn't. Not really. I think Effium has just been like AFK. Even though it says lurker unfriendly. And I don't mean like fucking I lost my money. Okay. Mostly you're pretty high up considering how soon you found me. I mean, this is chill. Look, there's like 5 people. I like that. I don't want any more than that. Because, like, imagine if I, like, farted. Imagine if I farted and it was so embarrassing. And then, like, imagine if there was, like, 15 people who saw it instead of, like, 5. That would be so embarrassing, right? So, you know, like, I think it's good to have a small community. Well, he's sub. That is true, he is. And you're not. Wonder why. Chill community. Yeah, if I undeafen myself, I'm gonna get fucking destroyed in... Oh wait, I'm not deafened. In voice chat. Pumpkin's not here, so it's fine. But you told me not to, and I don't like Twitch. I mean, you can lurk if you want. Like, I'm okay with people lurking if I know them. Like, if I don't know them and they're lurking, that's when I don't like them and I'll just ban them. Like, if someone I've never seen before is just lurking, then I will just ban them. I don't care. Like, it's like, why the fuck are you lurking? I don't like you. Go away. But if it's someone who's, like, I've spoken to before, you can lurk. It's fine. It's like, I don't like people who just show up and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch you. Like, fuck off. What the hell? Yeah, you can lurk. Like, what the hell? Like, it's people who've never been here before and they start lurking. Like, I'll go through the viewer list and I'm like, oh, hello, Gamerboy67. How are you doing today? I see that you've never chatted before. And then they never chat because they feel upset that they've been, like, called out. Whatever. I don't like them. I don't fucking like lurkers. Piss me off. Oh my god. Like, this is why we do 3-minute games. Do you guys want to stop, like, being so intimate? You want to just, like, finish the fucking game or something? You are stalling so much, it's gay. That's what you want. I want you to know that. I'm so bored. Did she called you out? I would have never chatted if you hadn't called me out. Wait, for real? Oh, that's so cool. That makes me feel so powerful. I'm gonna keep doing it then. I don't like it when people just sat there and they don't fucking say anything. It upsets me. I don't like it. Because in my brain it's like, oh, you're one of my stalkers. Oh yeah, you're collecting information about me. Oh, but I know your username now. So, I don't know. She put me on the spot. I'm sorry. I'm delusional. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is funny though. Oh my goodness. But I fucking hope Ritz loses so I can, like, force him to cook for me or something. I'm very hungry. I was gonna make, a rice. A rice. I don't know what it is. It's like, you put, like, minced beef in like a pita bread with like seasoning. I was gonna make that today. I guess I should make it soon. A riot? No, it's spelled like this. Let me spell it. I think it's spelled like this. I'm not sure. No! John Thompson. Hey. Hello. Why is your name so long? Account created 4 hours ago. Yeah, you have like 10 seconds to you have 10 seconds to stop me from banning you. Go on. Yeah? Yeah, I'm suicidal. How about you? He's gone. Look, he killed the bot. That's so funny. Killed the bot! I killed the bot! Oh my god! Oh my god! That's so funny. What about customize the game? I fucking wish I could do that, dude. He doesn't know what to say. It's not funny, but I'm like, my stomach hurts. Laughing too much. Oh my god. Fucking ribs hurt. Why did it actually not know what to say when I said, oh yeah, I'm so No, fuck Johnny. Like, he was probably trying to sell us a fucking... He was probably trying to sell us a zip bomb that was like 5 million terabytes zipped. We shouldn't feel bad. We don't have to deal with that. Oh no. Yeah, I'm very upset that he's gonna lose. If he does, it's because he stole my alcohol and he drank it. I knew he should have let me drink it all myself. I'm gonna have to tell him. I'm gonna have to tell him. You're not the alpha anymore. You're not the alpha anymore. I don't respect you. If you lose this game, you're not the alpha anymore. If he wins, then, you know.
Jesus.
Who won?
Well,
Who
but-
won?
GG.
Who won?
Jesus.
Who won? Who won?
I won.
You won. Okay, good.
I should have
Damn,
Where
you were
was
winning
it?
at the beginning, man. You.
I was winning at the end as well. It was the what move was it? It was when I started my knight. Yeah, so when I took am I still streaming? No. I'm not going to turn on analysis yet. But here obviously I have a fork. Kind of, right?
Yeah.
And you take, right? And here
You
I
can
wanted to
take.
play this.
Yeah, I thought that was the best move.
I think that is the best move because it doesn't weaken my king.
You
And
have to
you
make
take
pawns.
here, and I'm still up 2 pawns.
Yeah, I take that pawn. You take mine.
Yeah, the issue I didn't like this because you can take this with the knight. This is hanging. Like sure I get this pawn here.
With check.
Maybe he
Yeah.
could join your chess club virtually.
How did I get a brilliant? There's no chance. What the fuck did I? Oh, it would have been this. That would be a brilliant maybe.
Did you
Because
drink
it's like
my
you're giving up the
alcohol?
queen. No,
Then why did you lose?
because I I misplayed a tactic. Yeah, and the main issue here is that taking with this pawn, now I'm not covering this square anymore.
Yeah.
And I saw this and I was like, okay, well he's gonna try get in and take the rook.
Yeah.
on
Oh,
that
there are
turn.
no. Yeah. I fork you
But-
either way.
Yeah. Because here and then if I go here, you just play this. Actually, no, you
Honestly,
don't, because I can block with the queen.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even see.
Yeah,
that.
so here actually, yeah, you can't play that. I was thinking
You were
this.
low on time as well.
I'm so hungry.
I wasn't too worried about the time because we had increment.
So hungry.
But I think here, I feel like I'm probably winning. But maybe
What's
not.
the UL?
Oh, now
Oh
that
my
you're not
God, yeah.
playing, can you come and look for the spider that was in my room, please?
And so this loses. Yeah, that's really bad. That's not even the best move. Oh, is it this?
Taking my check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's an actual fork. Right?
No, you just.
Yeah, it is.
Because you win
no,
the
it
rook.
is. Because here,
No,
either I win an exchange like this.
No, you have
Oh,
to
no.
take the other one. Yeah. With the pawn. I think. Right?
No.
No.
It's because I was thinking this take here. But
What's the move? The fuck?
well, that's not even the best move. This is probably the best move for black. Yeah, that's the best move for black. But then here, 100%. What?
I don't.
So what's the move here? This? No,
No.
you just lose your knight.
Give me another check with the knight. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
What?
what the fuck? And then this again?
No,
then-
that's a draw. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's the +4?
I can't fucking see lines on this shit.
Fucking
Okay, so this is the best move, which
Yeah.
is fucking crazy. This is like clean, right? This is the easy. This is just the 2 pawns up. How is this? Right? If you come here, can't possibly be that.
just move the queen, maybe.
Oh,
Like on a safe square. I
wait,
don't know.
wait. No,
No.
no, that doesn't work.
Try queen c4
Um,
or something. No, that's bad.
No, because everything you've got this battery and you're just going to be giving away check, and your knight's hanging, right? I don't understand how this isn't the move.
Wait, try
it's- well, it
queen
says it's-
c3 maybe. No.
Well, this.
Oh no,
right?
wait, it doesn't work. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so this, and then what's the best? What's that one? Like, doesn't matter really. Like, even if you come back here. Okay, so there's got to be something better here.
Hmm.
I don't fucking see at all.
Yeah.
Oh. What?
Oh, you first, yeah, you give the other check, then you take it. Oh, because your knight isn't hanging anymore. So yeah.
The
You
knight's
take
not
that
hanging
pawn.
anyway.
No, you take the pawn. With the knight. You take
Yeah,
the
but like
pawn.
even if you take this, right? It's just a rook trade.
No,
Here,
later.
you do this.
Yeah, here you can't.
And
You
here.
can't. Yeah, you can't take it
Then
there
here.
because I take your knight at the end. I think.
And now you take the rook.
Yeah, at this position. Wait.
Oh, exactly. It allows you to take it with the pawn without giving up the attack here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because, like, after this, well, if it comes back here, so he doesn't get forked, you're not even really up material. You're up 3 pawns.
Yeah, but the position is like way better.
Yeah.
You can play rook
Yeah.
f1, and then it's
Oh, and because now this is covered by the knight
yeah.
as well. And it's an okay square for the knight, I guess.
Damn, fucking.
Yeah.
Holy.
I would not have. I wouldn't. There's not a fucking chance in how I would have found that. But this really.
I gotta fucking play Dango now. Fuck.
Here, and then like this. Yeah,
Wait,
this is what I didn't like. I'm so under attack.
Yeah.
It's +2. Okay, yeah, time for a dango in London.
Fuck. What's her account?
It is, I forget. It is Milagros GM26.
Aye. From Argentina.
So usually when you do a loser winner bracket thing, the person who gets back in from the losers bracket needs to win a bracket reset, right? In the final.
So
It means
I
that
have
the
to
person from
basically
the
to win,
losers
I
has
have
to
to
win
win twice.
twice. But I
Oh,
think
fuck
given
me.
the circumstances, I think winning once would be enough.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Well, whatever you say.
Wait, I
guess.
should give her a black or white.
You should get white or whatever you want to play. If you prefer to play black, then
Honestly, it doesn't fucking matter.
you get
I
to
don't
pick
know.
though.
I'll play. I'll play as white. Fuck.
Get scholars, mate.
I
What is
challenge you.
wrong with you? Like, are you role playing as having like a disability?
No, I'm just
She
showing. I'm
isn't
just.
role-playing.
No, I'm just showing off how good my face tracking is now.
Okay, game is starting. Game is starting. Sending you the link.
Yeah.
Sending
I'll
you the
wait, I'll
link.
wait.
There we go.
Tell me when everyone's watching.
Okay, this is the big game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, did you get the link?
No,
Oh, I sent it to you.
give me.
I did.
I get to have a burger after this, right?
Why?
Because I want.
You already spent enough money on alcohol today. Okay, nice. You got it open. Let's go.
Yeah, I.
You stole it all. So what's your fucking point?
That's your action time. I said that like fucking 10 minutes ago.
No.
Wait, check if they're. Make sure they're deafened.
Shh.
Okay, they're deafened. Nice.
Shh.
Commentate.
The horses. The horses are coming.
Okay, I like this actually a lot
Shut
from
up!
London.
I'm deafening myself. You're stupid. He doesn't
What?
know anything. The horses are coming. You can use that castle. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, I saw a funny picture. Oh shit, I need to pay attention. The horses are still coming. Peter, the horse is here. Peter, the horse is here. Oh my god. Why the fuck did I said don't play fucking 10-minute games? I swear to god I said that. And these motherfuckers decided they're gonna play fucking 10-minute games because they're so fucking cool and intellectual that they don't get to listen to anyone else. Why would they listen to the fucking plebeians? Huh? Why would they listen to us? 10 minutes? To decide where you're gonna put your horsey and your castle? On your dildo? Fucking stupid. You need fucking 10 minutes to play chess. You need 20 seconds. I can lose in 20 seconds. Does that make me stupid or a genius? Think about that. hate it. Classical chess is like 8 hours. That's like the amount that I stay up every day. Like I sleep like 14 hours a day. Like I sleep like at least like 10 or 12 hours a day, like average, right? Oh my god, that's so bad. I actually could not fucking stay lucid for that long. Like I would actually just start fucking falling asleep. I couldn't. Yes, 3 hours per player, and sometimes they'll gain time per move. Like, do you not just like start walking around? Do you not just start fucking walking around and dancing because you're so bored? That's insane. 1800 to 30, which is 3 hours per player, 30 seconds increment per move. Well, that's just stupid. I want burgers. I'm gonna go make burgers as soon as I'm able to. Oh my god, do I really have to wait for the timer to go down? Actually, oh my god, I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sure this is riveting for some of you. But for me, personally, I don't even fucking know what the horse does. So how am I supposed to care? Sleepy. Like, I'm actually so sleepy. I'm gonna sleep. I'm so fucking tired. Oh my god. I feel like a fucking toddler that hasn't been able to sleep for like 4 hours. Oh my god. I'm so tired. Mm. It does a swastika or iron cross L shapes. What? Oh, the fucking horse. It does not do a swastika, does it? You didn't see the GIF? Wait, where? I only have 2 monitors. I can look at the chat and I can see where's that GIF? Agree. Israel is listening. Who the fuck said? Why did you say that? Yeah, wrong channel. Nice. Fuck you. think they were listening to you on stream. Who? The KKK? Who are you talking about? What? What fucking GIF is he talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking. I don't know. I
Oh,
have
so
no
you're
idea.
not you're not even in my chat. You just hate me.
I
right?
am. I see him. I see what he's talking about, but I don't know what he's talking about.
Like a KKK GIF or something, right?
I don't think so.
Mossad, obviously.
Yeah, the FBI.
Israel.
I think he's just talking about the fact that the night
the-
makes us
the
hostile.
big Yahoo. The big Yahoo. Woo!
We have neighbors.
They've heard worse. Oh. I just realized it wasn't streaming.
Yeah.
Okay, it's working now.
Yeah. I thought London was in a really, really good position early on. I thought we might actually have a chance to win.
Who
But
won?
this is looking pretty bad for London now.
You think he's dead?
No, he's just thinking.
Netanyahu, please.
Okay, going for defense. Not gonna work. Oh, wait. There might be a world in which Bango is able to do a smothered mate on London, which would be nasty. No, that will not work. Yeah, London's completely lost now. Wait, it might actually be. No, not quite. Yep. It isn't smothered me. Yeah, it's good enough.
I motherfucker cooked me.
That was a good game though. I think you were actually better after the opening.
Nah, I don't know. It didn't feel like it.
I think after you were pushing his knights really hard in the opening. I think there you had like a real. I think you were genuinely better. You were probably like plus 1.5 or something.
I didn't see that bishop move that fucking took my rook. Like,
yeah, wow, plus 2.6. And I think here you just needed to push the knight. I think you had a knight trapped near enough. Is it here? Yeah.
yeah, like
Can't take the pawn.
you need to go back. Maybe.
Up here. Yeah, this is 2.6. And then you play this. This is the only way to not lose the knight immediately. But I'm sure there's a way to trap it because it doesn't have escape squares. You can't go here.
Can also go like to the home
This
square
is
as well.
yeah, like it doesn't have anywhere. Like does even just something like this trap it? Yeah, like it's just dead already.
Yeah, but she could move it to like the home square, I think. Way back.
Which one?
No, back. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, here. Enough.
yeah.
So, look at the development. I think this is much better for White. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like straight away. This is where it looks bad. Already, I don't like this position for Black.
Yeah, it was good right before she fucking.
Yeah, I think it was
Yes.
really good just playing like a. I mean, this looks kind of weird. Like this already. This
Yeah,
pawn structure
I
looks
think
weird.
I've seen it in a video or some shit. That's why I did it.
And then that, yeah,
I've gotten this position like a few times.
yeah. I mean, this looks
Like-
like it's best move. Yeah, but then here, this is just a bit slow, I guess. Because then, yeah, now you play this, which gives your knight an escape square, and ties down your pawn. But it's still better for White. Yeah, where was this move?
Yeah. Oh, plus
Yeah,
3.
this as well. This I don't think you. What did you do here? You took the knight, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you just take the pawn because
I
the knight
took
is
it-
fucked anyway.
Yeah, I took it because, like, I mean, it can go back, but I took it because I wanted to do damage on the pawns on the left side. So, because she's obviously not gonna castle queen side,
Mm,
she's
I
gonna.
mean, but the-
yeah.
yeah.
She's either not
Oh,
gonna
you wanted to
castle-
damage? Yeah, the
Yeah,
left-
yeah. So there's a whole,
Mm.
but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think as if you take the pawn here, then the knight's basically in the same situation it was before. Right? Obviously, it can't take the pawn. It can go to either of these, but then your
she
knight just
can't take the
moves.
pawn. She can't take the pawn. Is that something? First.
Oh, this.
I'm actually gonna fucking fall asleep. Holy shit.
Hey guys,
Jay started talking as soon as oh my god. Oh my god. Let's see if they shut off soon. Oh my god, look at my forehead! It's got veins on it. Ah! Let's see if they shut the fuck up about chess, right? Let's see.
You can
They did
maybe
not.
Yeah,
play
yes.
this, right?
Yeah, probably.
Now this is cut off, and then you know, here. This
What's the eval on the thing I did?
So what you did was, yeah. So you lose your entire advantage.
Damn.
I think the main thing is this bishop is just better than this knight. Because right now this knight is doing nothing. It's already almost dead.
Probably. I just
So
thought
after this,
I damaged the pawn structure and then like I take the pawn.
and yeah. Also, this is what I missed that as well.
Yeah,
I was like,
played
okay,
it
we
in
take
like
the pawn.
fucking half a
I didn't
second.
see that. Yeah.
She instantly played it. Damn.
I mean, it's probably something that she saw on your time.
Yeah, that's why I was impressed.
If takes, yeah. Whereas I guess probably
Honestly,
you guys gonna
I
shut the
move-
fuck up and can we do the next game, please? Because I'm really tired.
there's no more next game.
Who won?
Dango,
Oh, okay, let me PayPal her.
big fucking surprise.
weren't you following the tournament? The fuck?
I will
By the way,
not.
I think this is bad because I mean
I mean, I don't
because
know
she
how you can
develops
get
the
rid of this
bishop.
pawn easily. Yeah.
no
You
like
develop-
even without that skewer, I think because when I take with
I'm gonna fucking okay, let me I'm gonna PayPal her $60, I believe. No, I have hiccups. Ah! What is that? Oh my god, like I actually can't stop hiccuping, so I'm gonna fuck! Oh my god, I'm gonna end the stream before I puke.